Um, okay, well, what was your opinion about her?
Well, I did. I wasn't there the whole time, but I did ask a few questions in the private chat. I don't know if you asked them.
No, I didn't, but I thought I didn't see them until the end. But um, I don't think she's going to get Jews to turn against the Noahide laws. To be honest with you, I don't see that happening. I'm very grateful to her about that activities thing, about um, about talking about the activities in the bill, because that could make it unconstitutional. Because what are these activities? That the appropriate activities? Well, you just said in the preamble this was all about Noahide law. So what is an appropriate activity? I mean, isn't teaching the Noahide laws to the people, isn't that breaking the Constitution? You really shouldn't be teaching them these laws, should you?
I'm sorry. What is this activities thing?
Okay,
You might as well explain the whole thing to me as if I
in
wasn't
Public
there.
Law 102-14, there's the preamble that talks about the Noahide laws and the foundation of it being the foundation of America, which is not unconstitutional. But then in the actual law, it says to commemorate Rabbi Schneerson's birthday with appropriate activities. But what are these activities? I mean, because it said that the whole thing was about the Noahide laws, so activities is vague. So she's saying activities is a vague word that opens up the bill to be basically anything they want it to be. So, that's her whole thing. Let's see what. Hold on.
But what does she fear? She says, "Oh, it looks like the government can do anything it likes to us. Really, look at what they did to us during COVID." And she's saying, and by extension, if they wanted to, they can execute us for anything, or, the infringing the no-hike laws. Is that basically her thing?
Well, I mean, basically, she's saying that yes, they can do, they can do whatever they want. Yeah, basically that you can just interpret this any way that you want, and that it's a problem. And she's more saying it's going to be used for subversive measures more than like she's not suggesting that they're going to come out and start beheading people tomorrow, but she's just saying that this is a moving, problem.
But she did talk about the guillotine. Can you explain the context in which she discussed it?
Trump Trump said he wants to bring back guillotines to America.
Did he?
So
When was that?
it was a while ago. It was all in the newspapers. He look it up. He said that beheadings, that we should bring back beheadings. He said
I missed all that. How could I
he
have
said
missed all?
he said possibly beheadings, and people are like, well, first of all, like, who would behead someone in a modern era? All the blood and the cleanup, and it's so gruesome, and all these different kinds of things, and so they said, well, the only reason he would want that is because for Noahide law. The only reason he would, even say something like that is because, it's to make it so that we can enact the Noahide law. So that's a conspiracy theory. I do think it's odd that Trump said to behead people. I
I
think that's
don't think he said that. According
yes,
to the
he
Rolling
did.
Stone, he says bring back firing squads and group
I
executions.
know, but if you look hard enough, he did say guillotines or beheadings. He did say it. I saw the article. He,
Okay.
they just didn't mention it in Rolling Stones, but yes, he did say guillotines.
Well, I suppose if you're going to have the death penalty, then the guillotine is not, off the menu.
Well, but it's
Nor would,
not. It's not.
or any form of execution
Okay,
really.
well, it's just not. Why would you want all that blood everywhere that you have to mop up and and then it's a health hazard. I mean, people have to go in with hazmat suits to clean it up because it's fucking blood, and it's horrible. Why would you do that? How many people are you going to behead in a row? And what are you going to do? Just bring people? How are you going to kill them in rows? Like, bring them up and behead them in each other's blood? Like, how are you going to do fast executions in jails?
Well, to be fair, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I literally looked up Trump beheadings
Okay, let
guillotine.
me find it. Let me find it. Hold on.
Okay, I'm looking at the Vanity Fair one. But I suppose, the principle is that, well, if you're going to allow the death penalty, then beheading or strangulation or burning or, you know, won't be off the menu.
Okay, hold on. Let me just find I found a video. Hold on. This is like secular talk, but hold on. Hold on, let me see. No, I know I saw this.
Okay.
Hold on. Trump bring back guillotine. He said about, yeah, here in Vanity Fair, Trump wants to bring back hangings and firing squads in his second term.
Possibly even the guillotine. Possibly
Yeah,
even.
I told you he said possibly. He was made it, but the thing is that he did say it, and people are just thinking that that's just a moronic way to murder people. And there's only one reason to kill people for that, under guillotine, and that's for the Noahide laws.
Well, I mean, the penalties are specified in the capital offences in Judaism. I mean, it does say that sodomy attracts stoning, and and a whole bunch of the they're all specified.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I'm.
I mean that isn't so much it. I mean, there's no right to have a certain kind of execution. I suppose it has to be humane, and actually beheading is meant to be humane because I know that the
Yeah, but now they know
aristocracy.
it's not. I mean, that was the old, but now they know it's not humane. They know that you can keep consciousness, you know, for like up to a minute, and be aware that your head is severed from your body. And it's also disfiguring. It's very disfiguring to the body. It's very destructive, and it's and it can there's just much better ways to do it.
How would you prefer to go, Vincent?
Well, I mean through lethal injection, right? At least you just fall asleep, or through
Well,
oxygen
actually,
deprivation.
it's really horrible. I saw that movie with Sarah Sarandon, with
You can
Sean Penn.
you can inject someone with a chemical that puts them right to sleep, or if then just inject them with sleeping medication first and then inject them with the poison. You know what I mean? Like, just, it's very easy. There's hemlock is harmless. Hemlock doesn't hurt.
Oh, we don't know. Okay, okay. I don't know, but I mean the principle. I mean, we don't need to fret about the details. It's sort of saying, if a Jew gets a penalty for doing this thing, then so should the Gentile, right? I mean, if you want to interpret it in the harshest possible way, then I mean, there are no specified punishments in the Torah for eating an animal while it's still alive, or about theft. Is there? No, I don't think that there's. So I guess that there are some that do not attract the death penalty. So well, for Jews, the penalty for breaking the Sabbath is death. It's not. It wouldn't be the same for a Gentile. And I mean, bottom line, she's afraid of these laws being eventually implemented. Yes, I mean that's her position
Yeah, and the
because
lead up to it, but yes, I mean, yeah, she's saying there's a lot of lead up to this, but it's going somewhere, and it's something to discuss at least. And but she's also scared that just the very topic of them is going to lead to anti-Semitism, and she wants Jews to be against it so that people don't turn against Jews. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, maybe I should invite her on my channel.
Well,
He's,
I don't think she would want to do that because she is very kind of like. I don't feel as though I think you would be antagonistic towards her and ask her not hard questions, but questions that might make her feel uncomfortable. But you
okay,
could
so
find her. Wait, you can find her online if you want to.
she's on Twitter. I know. I'm following her.
Oh, she is, yeah. And she made that video about Dr. Zelenko, and you know, at first she was a little bit scared to come on my channel, but she eventually finally did come on.
Well, I guess she must have seen me then.
I
I imagine if she did have a quick look at your channel.
I don't know if she looked at my channel yet or not. I'm not sure.
But the point is really that there's not much we can do in theory. If Congress decide to pass all kinds of laws like, oh, let's become a one-party state, let's become a theocracy, it's like they can tidy it up, eventually. So I don't know if you know that the Weimar Constitution was only suspended. Did you know that?
No.
So basically, it was, and there's all this stuff about Carl Schmitt, but anyway, it was Carl Schmitt who thought, well, obviously we're not going to be a democracy under you, Herr Hitler. We will have to, tidy up about the Constitution, and it was decided not to tear up the Weimar Constitution, but to suspend it. Say, for the moment, we're going to suspend the Weimar Constitution. So it's a kind of temporary thing. So, I mean, that seems a bit odd. I mean, I actually think it's a bit odd about Russia, because if I were Russian, I would say it's time for us to reject Western values, because look at them, the A, B, and C, and X, Y, and Z, and we don't want anything to do with them, and whatever we have of them, we're gonna kick out, and I would I guess if I were Russian, I'd say, and we should have a one party state. It is working fine for China, and it's not working so well for America and its vassals. So if I were Russian, I'd be doing that, and I think people should talk about it a bit more, because I mean, how else are you going to change your government? The Chinese make this particular joke. They say we may only have one party, but our party changes its policies where necessary and desirable. But look at the West; they have all these parties, but they never change their policies. Ha 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 ha.
We do change our policies, but I mean, people don't flood into China, and in China, the last time I saw people live in factories and are only allowed to see their family once a year, and there's lots of problems in China.
Okay, I'm not saying China is wonderful, but I'm talking about the form of government, and and also I'm going to bore you again with the warning from George Washington's farewell speech. He told Americans 200 years ago not to form political parties, and what did they do? They went and formed their political parties. And okay, actually, can you just Google something about that, because I keep mentioning it and it just goes over your heads. You don't
Well,
really
we got
care.
it. You told me. I do understand, but just because George Washington, said George Washington had slaves too. You know what I mean? Just because he said something doesn't mean that it's right or that it's God or, whatever. He had an opinion, and we got it. But, obviously it doesn't work in theory, and people naturally want, pluralism in parties, and so let them do it. And people would fight inside a party anyway. There would be factions
Yes,
inside.
yes, but the factions need not be permanent, and
They would
given
be
a
there
name of a party.
if we had one party. There would just it would just be divided onto itself, and it would work even less. At least with the Democrats, when they get in, there's a party that's made up only of Democrats, and they all work together to accomplish whatever they want. And if the Republicans get in, it's a
Yeah, but it
party.
hasn't been working. It's collapsing. And I'm saying just because you might disagree with another party member about the policy on one thing, you might agree with him on another thing. So you might as well stay friends within the party and agree to disagree, in a national interest. And just treat it like an AGM voting to appoint a director or something like that. Instead of having all these useless parties that people hate and know are useless, because once the rule of law is treated with contempt, people will naturally inevitably think that the next step must be violence, because if nothing changes, however you vote, what's the point of voting? Why waste time even waiting for the next election? Just overthrow them. I mean, this is a danger. I mean, can't you see if people keep if the government keeps stealing elections, eventually the penny will drop that there's no point fighting elections. They're very expensive, and I mean, yes, they are very expensive, and you keep having to wait for the next one, which is always 4 years away. And in the meantime, everything is on hold. People think, oh well, we won't do anything until the next election. We're just going to wait for things to crash and burn, and then blame it on the other party, and whatever they think in a democracy. So a lot of problems that should have been solved ASAP are not. They're just left to fester, so that one party can blame the other party about it. But okay, let's suppose that the worst situation, as far as a one-party state is the case. Like, well, there's only one party, and your political opponents dominate it. But at least under the situation that you have to take power back. And the answer is not to wait until the next election. You do it ASAP. But I think the idea is still alien. And I'm saying, look, George Washington was a founding father. He knew what he was on about. And it's like, well, Americans now, what do they know? They haven't even read his speech. They don't even care about any principle. All they do is complain. I mean, he said a few interesting things too, like we must with caution indulge the supposition that morality cannot be maintained without religion. I mean, all those years ago he worried about that, and he was right. So everything he warned against has come to pass. So why not treat the man with a bit of respect? And the reason why China is doing well is that its government is rational. It is saying that there's no point asking people what they want. They're stupid and they don't care and they don't know. And you ask them and
Yeah,
what they
I know
want,
this
and you,
is a very like non-white way of thinking that, yes, when you are a bunch of non-whites together, you are going to come to the conclusion that people don't know what they want and they don't know how to think and they're dumb and they're useless and, that's
you say that yourself about your own people.
yeah, I know, but yes, but they're not that bad that like it's just when you're all non-whites, that's just the obvious conclusion that we're all too dumb to just come to be a democracy. So let's be at least if there's only one or two of us that are intelligent, then let them rule. But with white people, there's more intelligence to go around. So you know,
Is there? I don't see much of it.
well,
Neither do you.
not anymore, but
And it's
it
going to get worse. The intelligence is shrinking because even the intelligent people become corrupt or neurotic, or they just sort of know they can't say certain things without being cancelled, so they don't say it. I mean, do you ever talk to middle class people? They want to pretend everything's fine and, they're having a wonderful time. And they don't know what Trump supporters are talking about because they're so far above them. It's a class and caste thing, and well, sadly for you in America, you have this caste system, even though you like to think of yourselves as meritocratic and equal. It's decided at birth. I mean, you even have your own royal families, like the Bush, like the Bushes and
these
the
things
Clintons.
you can't just go and say, oh, because America has rich, influential families,
I
that
even
means
saw some American woman curtsying to Hillary Clinton when she was campaigning. I couldn't
okay,
believe
that's
it.
not royalty. I mean, so what if some stupid bitch did that? There's no royalty in America. We don't have established monarchs, and this is what you foreigners always try to do. You try to like say, oh, you are slaves, and we're not slaves. Like this idea that we're all slaves over here and we have monarchs, and we don't have any freedoms. This is all nonsense.
Well, judging by the way, well, Elizabeth Glass, she said, well, the government just came in and did whatever he liked, injected our children with poison, didn't even ask us. That was what she was saying, wasn't she?
These are extreme. These are like public health things that have always been in every country. Like you're acting like America is so unique in that we're the only nation on earth that like enforces vaccinations. Like this happens everywhere. And the thing is that to a certain degree, it is public health. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess generally you do have to enforce it because maybe if you didn't, most people would be too lazy to bring their baby to the doctor to get all those shots, and then everyone would be dying from all these diseases. I think if it wasn't mandatory for children to have all their vaccinations to go to school, most people would just be too lazy and dumb to do it, and I mean we would just have people dropping dead from diseases everywhere.
Well, the thing is, it was just the flu, so it was a storm in a teacup. And so many
Yeah, we're
people,
talking about
so many countries destroyed their economies over nothing at all. And now they're in debt.
the Claire. Um,
They
we're
always
talking.
just
No, we're
choose
talking.
the wrong decision. They always make the wrong move. Aren't you tired of that, Vincent? It's like if there's any mistake to be made, they'll make it. If there's a smart decision and a stupid decision, they're going to make the stupid decision. Aren't you sick of it? I am.
Yeah, but you can't. That's most people. That's not because in China they make the worst decision too. You
Well,
know,
China's doing so well that you guys want to nuke it, so I guess it's doing something, right?
it's not doing so well, and the people aren't like that happy. And I mean, there's so many abuses over there, and people don't like. You think that because like 1% of their immigration is from Europe or America, that it's like some paradise that we're all running over there to escape the chains of America and Europe, and everyone's going to China to just the new world. That's just not what's going on.
Well, I remember Otto Pohl. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I know you have your one-off examples, but you don't have statistics of like mass immigration into
Okay, well, I
China.
mean, I know a lot of Westerners do go and work there
Not
because
enough, not enough, not enough to make it like that. It's like the new America. No, it's not the new America.
well, I think a lot of people think well there are a
Oh,
lot of
and they're all
economic
moving there.
migrants
Can
who
you
are
show me?
white.
Okay, let's say. Okay, let's say how many people leave the West to live in China? Okay, China's residents are leaving, so Chinese don't want to live there. Um, so many people are looking to leave China that it's been dubbed the Run Movement. So people are fleeing China. Okay, this is NPR,
What's
um,
NPR?
National Public Radio, and it's public radio in America. Um, okay, so the Chinese themselves are fleeing. I mean, they have an exit problem because people are like trying to get out. Westerners are increasingly scared of traveling to China uh, as threat of detention rises. So they're detaining foreigners and exporting them. So people are getting scared to go to China. Exit bans. So they would just put you in jail and not even let you leave. This sounds like a real way to increase your immigration.
I think you're just looking for the bad reports of
Yeah,
China.
well, they're real. They're not fake reports. So I just don't see people. If the Chinese people are fleeing China, how am I supposed to believe that it's a good place?
Well, because people like going there
Not
for their
in.
holidays.
There's more people leaving, obviously, than there are people entering.
No,
So
okay, I remember what's her name, Karen Assad or Amanda, and she lived in China,
yeah, I
and
can
she.
find anecdotal, evidence of anything, Claire. You can find
Okay,
anecdotal
okay,
evidence.
so you're saying America's still the best. Okay, well, there's nothing to worry about then.
No, yes, there. You know what, Claire? Like, you're reasoning like just because we're a little bit better off doesn't mean we can just like sit on our laurels and do nothing. Like that's what you would do. You would just, oh well, I'm at the top of the world at the moment, so why am I even going to improve? Your thinking is fucked up. Like this is like you're never going to get through to white people because you can't think like one. Like, no, we're not going to just sit and be like, oh, well, or at least the old white race wouldn't do that. Maybe now they would. Maybe after years of like being overly comfortable and becoming stupid, but that's not their base. And I don't think that that's going to be everyone. And, hopefully the right people will be able to gain control of society. If not, then fine, you're right. Then, everyone's just going to become a fat slob and not try. And, you know, we'll all have to fall under Islam. Like, if then they deserve it. You know what I mean? If you're right, then they deserve it. What am I going to say? If white people don't have the spark in them to create something new and to reorganize themselves and to embrace freedom, then fuck them. Then let them live that way. Then they're no better than anyone else, and they don't deserve what they have. And that's it. And I can't help that. If that's the way the majority of them are,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
So,
many.
so the frighteners need to be put on them. Yes, I mean
Well,
they need to. Right? People can be well. People are motivated by greed and fear.
yeah, well, that's really sad. And if that's true, then I guess something like Islam is the next way to go because it's gonna, just force people into these miserable living conditions that they are too dumb to keep themselves out of. And that's it. That's it. Then goodbye West, goodbye white race, or goodbye old white race. I mean, maybe the new white race is going to be running around wearing hijabs, but um, you know, then they already really don't deserve because they lost their paganism to Christianity. So how much they actually deserve it, I don't know. I mean, I
Well,
don't.
you seem to be assuming that paganism is superior to Christianity,
Well, yes, I
when the
obviously.
evidence suggests that
Well, if they had fought for it valiant enough, and they had they devised ideologies that were strong enough, they could have, but they didn't. And so I just said that maybe they don't deserve. They partially don't deserve freedom because they lost it the first time, and they allowed this to come over them collectively, and they enforced it on themselves. And if they did that, then how worthy are they? They're not that worthy.
But don't you understand that everything that happened was meant to
No,
happen?
Claire. Oh, please. I don't want to talk about magic anymore. Meant to
It's
happen.
not magic.
No, who said meant? The only thing that I believe is that it couldn't happen any other way because it was the physical laws of the universe. It's not meant to happen. It had to happen. It's not like there's some mystical thread running throughout civilization that God is woven for us all. Like I don't believe that.
It doesn't even have to be God who made it happen. It's like, well, it's happened now. You just have to base your decision on what your conclusions are about
I
what has
and I just
happened.
I just told you that maybe you're right. If they fell for Christianity, then how worthy are they? How worthy are they if they fell for Christianity? They can't be that worthy of people.
Well, maybe it was only you know, I think in all these cases, it's just made by a few people. All these major decisions affecting the direction of an empire or a
Yeah,
civilization are
yeah,
made only by very few
no,
people.
no, excuse me, Claire. Christianity was spreading amongst the lower classes in Rome for a long time before they actually made it the state religion, and you just don't want to do the hard work to convert the lower masses, so that you think that the upper classes, without any voting electorate under them, are just going to change the rules and just be like, oh, well, I don't care about losing my next election. I'm just going to change the rules right now. No, you want an electorate who believe in what you believe on the ground level, and that's what the Christians did. They first changed the electorate, and then the politicians said, okay, fine, we'll do this because enough people in the civilization wanted to be that way, but you're just not willing to put in that kind of effort.
Well, I mean, that there's no need to do it like that anyway. So I accept what you said about Christianity spreading amongst the women and the slaves, and then people were aware of it, and these Christians obviously believed in Christianity and martyred themselves, and this impressed the Romans, and they tried to ignore it, and then they thought, well, if you can't beat them, we'll join them. And so they made up this religion to use for their empire, and that's how it's been since. Now for what I have in mind, it's simply you can weave another narrative, and as long as it's believable, then people will. Okay, people don't just believe in something because they think, oh, it's right, it sounds, they'll think, what's in it for me? Is it dangerous to, say I believe in this thing or not? Or even if it is, should I take risks? And that will have to be motivated by something more than a calculation of the risk. So people who care about their progeny will probably take more of a risk than people who don't expect to get married, ever. So you have
I'm
to
sorry,
target
what?
the
What?
right people.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And you think that in democratic societies, they're going to say, I don't care what the electorate wants. I'm going to pass this law and maybe they'll vote me out,
No,
the
no,
next
no, no.
time.
There is a way of managing it, obviously. So you have to, you can propose a referendum on whether you should become a one party state, a one party theocracy, and everyone go, what? And then you explain. And it's not going to happen immediately, but, just the idea itself, once once articulated, will be discussed. And obviously, me saying it is not going to, change anything because I'm too low status. It needs somebody higher status than me to talk about these things. And so far, nobody cares enough to stick their neck out to talk about these things. So, to address the concern of your previous guest, Elizabeth Glass, she's saying that the American government can be ruthless about the rights of American citizens, and she fears that they can implement any tyranny given half the chance. That's what she's saying, isn't she? And then her evidence is like, look what they did to us during COVID. So she's concerned. She, a Jewess, is concerned. And obviously she's also concerned about anti-Semitism, and she's afraid
Hello.
that... Huh?
Nothing. I got a phone call and then it switched me off and then you couldn't hear me and all this other kind of stuff. So anyway, she's saying that the government can do whatever it wants and blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think you can take these things too far. Like, oh God, the government is just a slave state and we have zero rights and they can just come into your house and take you away anytime they want. Like, it's not exactly that bad. You know what I mean? It's not like that's over, you can overindulge in these things and kind of it becomes like a religion of victimhood, but
yeah, okay, so you want to avoid America becoming a place like that, yes? That's what you and her want to avoid.
Well, yes, but by stopping the Noahide laws, but not by instituting secular Quranism.
Well, secular Quranism gives people more rights. And it's actually in harmony with the First Amendment, while the Noahide laws are against the First Amendment. So if you're an American, I assume you would, see it as being un-American to abolish the First Amendment. And there is a way of doing it, and I'm trying to tell you how you would go about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know why nobody's picking up your plan. I think it's because
you won't talk about it. You won't really support it. You're just LARPing and talk. And it would be so advantageous to you because, well, then people would sit up and take notice of you.
Nobody takes notice of me for,
because you have this crazy idea of abolishing women.
Well, no, but there's other things. It's just, I'm not popular enough to, if I converted to secular Quranism, people would just be like, what the fuck are you doing? At least that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
No, the Muslims will
no, they're going to say that's just tranny Islam, like they did in your Telegram chat.
They'd want you on their show. They'd want me on their show. But you are the catalyst. I mean, obviously nothing's going to happen if I sit here in the UK, because even if the Prime Minister supported secular Quranism, the Prime Minister of Britain would need a permission from you guys. And you're coming up to, well, quite an important election that will be, well, regarded as, what's the word? Well, crucial in determining your identity. I mean, you were talking about Trump earlier. There's so many things you could be saying. It's not just secular Quranism. It's all about, American history, whether Americans need an official moral system. There's so many things that would come up for discussion, but it needs one small step from you, Vincent.
I don't think Muslims are going to be interested in the gay man that stole some laws from the Quran but doesn't believe in their God. Like, I just don't think that that's going to, knock their socks off. That's not what they want.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, Khalid is just been sort of rubbing his hands in glee, thinking you might become Muslim.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I'm not becoming Muslim.
Well, you were sort of saying things that kind of showed some hint of principle, or kind of some kind of moral reasoning.
All I said was that there's some good ideas in the Quran. There's some good ideas in the Bible and the Vedas and everything. There's good ideas in Confucianism and Shintoism and, so what? And I mean, I mean, they came up with a few good ideas, but I'm not going to become one of them.
Okay, so you can become a secular Quranist, which isn't being Muslim. Look, I need somebody to actually say they'll do it. I mean, yes, I've got Nourish, but I mean, Britain is just a vassal state of America. Nobody cares what we think. While you have the ability to well, you have the ability to turn heads. But obviously, you'd have to be sincere about it. Or well, anyway, you know enough about it to, mount a decent argument if you wanted to.
Okay, Stephen J. James is in the chat. Let's see
Oh,
if he wants.
good.
Let's see
He
if he
wants to
wants to
come.
come on. I'll post it in the comments. Stephen J. James, if you want to come on, I'm posting it in the comments.
So Stephen says that even though thousands of people know me, they're not interested because they're all low status people, and the high status people are terrified of saying anything in case they get kicked off the perch of high status people.
Gross. I don't know, Claire. Well, everyone is
I
too
mean, look at
scared.
poor Ann Coulter. I mean, she's been kicked off her perch, hasn't she?
Well, she got kicked off her perch because she went against Trump, not because, she was supporting secular Quranism.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there are lots of people in the American political establishment who've been kicked off their perch, so they're too terrified to be doing anything. I think I think what she's afraid of is that she's been put on some no or being put in on a no-fly list because she's got some beach house in California or something. And she doesn't want to be, prevented from visiting it from time to time. But I think a lot of people are frightened, and I mean, and the thing is, you need a big push. You can't just say, "Oh, I just need some little thing. Oh, can we have no for divorce?" And that's it. This is Carol's piecemeal way. Like, can we just have a little bit of secular Quranism light? Here and there, and when I could support a one-party state or licensed brothels or no, she couldn't even bring herself to support no for divorce. So I don't know what Carol thought she was doing. But the point is, sometimes you need to ram raid the shop. Shock and awe. That's an American expression. Shock and awe.
You can't even get. Hold on, I think Stephen J. James is here. Yes, he is. Hello, Stephen.
Yo.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? I've just got home. I've not heard anything you've said yet.
Did you? Oh, you just got home, so you didn't see my interview with Elizabeth Glass.
No, what's it about?
Well, she's Jewish, and she was a New York State Senate hopeful, and she warns about the Noahide laws, and she's trying to get Jews to turn against the Noahide laws so people don't become anti-Semitic, and these different kinds of things. And we were talking about that, but now we're talking about
Claire's silly idea.
Yes. Yeah. How are you? Well, what's going on with you? I sent you. I haven't been sending it all to you, but I've been posting that white Mormonism stuff. But you, it's like, well, now I'm gonna try posting all this other stuff, but you know what? You don't really care about that deep kind of like espionage shit. I mean, you don't even care about the fact that their concept of God would be so helpful. I mean, you would adopt the Mormon God regardless of the fact that, I mean, technically even according to Christianity, it would be idolatry. I mean, God is a physical being up in space that's spatio-temporal and limited.
Sounds
Like,
fucking cool, doesn't it? Yeah.
okay, well, I mean, you're just, you're just jumping from like, that if you jumped into Mormonism, you would jump into something just not Christian, like this, just not. You're no longer really a Christian. You would adopt polytheism and infinite regression and all that other kind of stuff.
He doesn't
At the end of
care.
the day, yeah, who cares? Who cares at the end of the day? Look, when you come to understand religions as being utilitarian things for society, or in order to protect like a social club or anything like that, then really it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, you want to make sure it works. You want to know, you want the rules to work and people follow them from generation to generation, and you don't want to be changing it again, 5 years down the line because it was so traumatic changing it in the first place.
Oh,
That's
well,
why you have to
I mean,
choose the best one.
no,
you don't
look,
have to change it again.
traumatic for who? I mean, it'd be
I
traumatic.
mean, look at
Wouldn't be
the English Reformation. You must have heard about the English Reformation.
No, we're talking just about me personally here, Claire.
No, I'm talking about what happens to a country when it changes its
Yeah, I know,
religion.
but
They
Claire,
don't do it for
also,
fun.
yeah, but Claire, it's also, I think it's in the white zeitgeist to like be okay with trauma and growth and like breaking the old mold and remolding. And yes, it's painful, and yes, bad things happen, but it's better for that to happen and for us to be fluid and dynamic than for us to do it the Eastern way, which is to set up one system in the old school, that was set up, 3, 4, 5, more than 1,000 years ago, and just never change. And that's it, and it just stays there from one generation to the next. I don't think that's really the right way of doing things. That's just not what we want.
Well, I don't know. When was the last time white people changed their religion?
Well, the last time white people changed their religion to Christianity, but they chose Christianity because it wasn't a set of, it wasn't, or at least it wasn't
the
a
only
set.
idea around.
It wasn't
That
a
was
set of
bigger
rules.
than their local idolatry. It's like, oh, Roman idolatry, how cool.
Yeah, no, but they didn't. It didn't affect their legal system, and so that's probably why they adopted it. They probably would have been less likely to adopt Sharia because I think that would have been even more not in league with who they were. But yes, I mean, I think that most white people would rather be in a fluid, changing system that changed over time, rather than in something that's so crystallized and is never going to, that's never going to change.
Well,
I think a lot of people are
the thing
complaining
about
that the rules
Islam,
are changed too much.
Islam and Judaism are autistic. I made this point when I was on Khaled's show. It's autism gone mad, isn't it? Like all these rules about what you can and can't do, right down to covering your dishes when you go to bed, how you have to wash, how you have to pray. All this,
You don't have to
just
do
like,
that. We don't have to
just,
do that.
well, if they're rules, Claire, what are you throwing those out to?
No, she always says. No, she always like.
She's picking and choosing.
No, she likes to. Every time you talk about Islam, she throws in your face. Well, that's not the way it's done under secular Quranism. But we're not doing secular Quranism. We're talking about Islam, not secular Quranism.
No, they're autistic religions, aren't they? I mean, how many why do people need so many fucking rules just about the everyday shit?
Yeah, I mean,
their identity.
Yeah, but
I get it, but maybe what about like 10? About 10 is a bit enough, surely.
Well, not all of them keep it, right? Not all of them keep it.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. So what? Then you come back and be like, look, there's so much hypocrisy. Doesn't that prove how great it is? Like, no, actually, it proves that nobody wants to follow the rules.
I mean, part of the thing is that, like, in Islam, have you seen these shows where you'll have like an imam on a call-in show, and it's just one after the other, like weird Muslim women phoning in and saying, like, if it's a Wednesday and the sun has risen, am I allowed to get like the bread out of the cupboard and put it on the kitchen counter ready to bake, or is that not allowed? And then the imam will say, oh, according to this blah 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 hadith, when Muhammad did this and that and this and that, and so okay, it is allowed, sister. And you just one after the other weird fucking questions like this, because none of them have any idea what the rules are, because there's so many of them. It's bizarre.
We don't have to do that.
They're hilarious, some of these call-in shows. Have you ever seen any of them?
We just need a minimum. We need a minimum of laws. I mean, you can laugh away, but I mean, Christianity isn't working. I mean, I don't know how likely you think Mormonism will be adopted.
Well, it's being adopted. It's one of the world's fastest growing religions, so it is being adopted. And I mean, the thing is that the only reason that it wouldn't be adopted, or they would be, if there's white Mormonism and they start racializing it and there's a break off like sect and movement that happens, then maybe. But if they just, they're going to cease to be a Western religion, or going to be, white people will cease to be interested in it as soon as, if they keep converting all these non-whites and they just lose their racial identity, then it's not going to get anywhere. No, because it is, it only works as, it is foolish. I mean, Stephen doesn't care that in order to be Mormon, the idea that there were leopards and elephants and horses in America prior to European colonization. It's just absurd. It's absurd. And that there were battles with metal arrows and things like that thousands upon thousands of horses and camels died, and humans died, and like battlefields strewn with metal objects. It just didn't happen.
Look, the Old Testament is equally as absurd. You can't find any archaeological evidence for any of that shit, like the Exodus and all that, so who cares?
Can you find evidence for that anyway? I mean, the point is that Jews exist, so, we'll just have to accept Judaism exists because Jews exist. And
well, Mormons
Jews
exist
without Judaism.
Well, there's the same thing could be said about Mormons. Mormons exist, and
Yeah, but the Mormons have diluted their principles, have given up their principles.
So have the Jews. So have the Muslims. So have the Muslims. They're, I mean, like the thing is that there is, I mean, the fact that Islam went and was like hanging out with the trannies for the last 15 years, like, says something.
Has it?
Of course, they were all liberals. They all voted Democrat. They didn't give a fuck about gay marriage. They didn't give a fuck about the trannies. They don't, at least in the West, like on the college campuses, the Muslims don't open their mouths about gays. They don't, they don't talk about that section of their religion.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the other point I made on Khaled's stream, Vincent, that on the street, when it comes down to it, the Muslims vote against our interests. Okay, so whilst it may look right, like they would be a natural ally against wokeism or against the imposition of liberalism, progressivism. When it comes down to it, when the shit hits the fan, or just in normal day-to-day life, when it comes down to voting, they vote for the far left because they know that that's where the Gibbs are, and they know that that's who is facilitating their introduction into countries, their chain migration of all their family members to keep coming over, their minority status in countries.
Have a one-party state. I dare to say it, but you guys won't.
Well, that's like saying have a fairy tale magical ending. Have Santa Claus riding on his sleigh and fix everything.
No. It's what's necessary to address the situation you complain about. The party system, but you're not going to say that because it's a bit, well, nobody else is saying it, are they?
Anyway, it's absurd.
No, it's not. It's a solution to a problem that you won't discuss because it puts you outside your group. But your group doesn't particularly just believe in democracy.
Who's my group?
I would say they are the dissident right. I don't know. Do you think they're Democrats? can they still be Democrats after how the
Oh, look,
election's
most of
going
them.
from them?
Look, most of them are blackpilled about the significance of voting. Even I am too. Personally, I don't vote. I mean, if I could make a change and like change 1,000 people's votes by my like publicity, so going on YouTube and affecting people's out there. If I could change like 1,000 or more votes, that would be worth it. But personally, I just think, what is the point in me going out and voting?
Well, that's all.
Uh,
That's
like,
what That's what the problem in America is. They have the same problem. The conservatives don't vote, and now now a little bit more. And they've become a tiny bit better. But always in the past, the conservatives it was just this culture of not voting, of being like, and it wasn't even. I would have to say that the it's not in their culture. They're not into government. You know what I mean? They don't, and like it used to be. It's better now, but in America, the standard conservative, who gives a shit who's in Congress? I don't care about the government. I don't want the government to get anywhere.
no.
I'm not even going to help the government. I'm not even going to be involved in getting anyone in. And now that supposedly they're spreading this election fraud stuff. I mean, now don't vote. I think that's right after the Trump lost. Everyone was like, "Oh, never vote again." You know what I mean? It was like this was their new plan to never vote again. Hopefully, they're going to be smart and actually vote this time. But yeah, this idea of not voting is just like an absurd idea. You don't even do. Do you have the same system
Well,
in
not
America?
on an individual. Not on an individual level, it's not. It's actually logically consistent because no election is ever won by one single vote. So when you think about it, you're never going to change the outcome
Yeah,
of an
but
election.
I know, but
Just
if you
you
did-
individually. So
Yeah,
you
then,
can.
okay, individuals.
You can eliminate your vote. What you can't do is proselytize that position to other people because that could disencourage like thousands of people to vote. But when it comes down to it, you could be telling everybody, go and vote for this person, and then on the day not bother going and voting, and you never change a thing.
Individual votes add up, and if everybody thinks like that, then nobody's going to
If
vote.
everybody
I know,
everybody
well-
thought like that, that's the difference. On the individual level, it doesn't matter. It's
It
like
does.
a paradox, Vincent. No, it doesn't. No election has ever been changed by one vote. So as long as you don't proselytize it to everybody, then it really doesn't matter on the day whether you go out and vote or not.
Well, I don't know if you have the problem. The only time that it makes sense not to vote is if you live in America and we have the electoral college, and so if you're the single conservative in a liberal state where 99% of people are liberal, and then it's not one person, one vote to get the president in. It's however your state votes. So if your state is voting liberal, then yes, it doesn't make sense to vote because your one vote doesn't count towards the presidential. So that's why in America, you could actually have more than 50% of people vote for a candidate, but that candidate loses the election because the state. It's not one person, one vote in America. It's whatever the majority of your state is. All the state's electoral votes go to the president. So it's not like in America, let's say that 90% of your state is liberal and 10% of your state is conservative. It's not like the president gets 90% of those votes from your state and 10% of the votes from the conservatives. No, if 90% of the people vote liberal, then they get 100% of the state votes. Your 10% doesn't even get factored in. Nothing gets factored in. If over 50% of the people vote liberal, then everything goes liberal. You get all the electoral points. They're not divided up by percentages. So it doesn't make sense. Then it doesn't make sense to vote. In my state, it almost doesn't make sense to vote if you're going to be voting for Trump because it's such a liberal state. You know what I mean? But, and the only place that it really matters is in swing states. So where you have an equal number of Democrats and Republicans, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I mean, it matters. And then, every little vote counts.
Well, look, it doesn't actually. I mean, no election's ever been swung by one vote. So look, as long as you're not proselytizing it to thousands of people, like on a public platform, like I shouldn't. It's like a bad thing for me to talk about it here just to a few people, really. You know, so you can say I'm wrong for talking about it out loud. But when it comes down to it, on the day if you don't show up, nothing will change. If 1,000 people don't show up, something could change.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, just taking...
You really have zero agency over the actual result, personally.
Okay, well, fine. Well, it's a culture amongst conservatives.
Yes.
It's a culture not to vote, and I've already talked to this
Yeah.
to Claire, and that really helped hurt conservatives. Yeah, my father was a conservative his whole life. He never voted until until it was Trump. That's when they all started voting. But until then, he didn't give a shit who the president was. Like a lot of conservatives.
Trump?
I think, yeah, he did. But but before that, no, he didn't give a shit who the president was. He didn't give a shit. And most conservatives, that was a very conservative position in America. I don't give a shit who the president is. They're all assholes. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to represent me. So why should I vote for anyone? And that's why conservatives kept losing and why the left kept winning, because, leftists vote and leftists care and leftists want their candidate in. And like the conservatives don't want their candidate in so bad. They're like...
They have to be galvanized. They have to be inspired to go out and vote, don't they?
Which is horrible.
Like it's worth it.
Yeah, that's really a horrible, bad attitude.
Well, no, it's not. Conservatism has basically betrayed all its voters for fucking decades, Vincent. So it's quite understandable that they feel disenfranchised. They feel like there's no point. They feel like when they get a conservative government in place, all they do is essentially concede every position over to the left anyway. And in many cases, it's often better for them to be like in opposition. Because like when the left party, so in America when the Democrats get in, really there's in many ways there's less actual like change versus when the Conservatives are in. Because when the Republicans are in, the left feels like they're under threat, and so they advocate far more. Like during Trump's term, things got a whole lot worse for us. Really, the Overton window really went over to the left. Versus, like, since Joe Biden's been in, what really has changed? Not much. So really, Republicans, Conservatives, all the time that they spend in office, we're losing ground. It's the same over here in the UK. We've had a Conservative government for over 10 years, and we've been losing ground ever since. So that's why people feel black-pilled about voting. You can't blame them. It's not necessarily good, but
yeah, well,
they get betrayed every single time.
Well, at the same time, you can't expect you can't expect conservative politicians to get all revved up about the populace either when they know that nobody's going to vote for them. And, at least in America, even before things were that bad, look, when conservatism was still more conservative and it was still more in power, conservatives still still weren't voting for it. They still didn't care. And, it's just only now that conservatism is disappearing, do they care? And it's too late, too little, too late. Like, you created a culture of not voting, even when you were in power, even when people were more conservative. And then, you lost control, and it's too little, too late. Now you're all gonna, get up and running because, you've lost control. Like, it's just, and that's the other thing. Like, my father's a conservative, and I used to talk to him about Islam, and when are you gonna do something about Islam? And now he's better, but he's like, well, I'm gonna do something about Islam when the army's 100 miles from my door. And I said, oh, really? What are you gonna do then? What are you going to do at that point? Like, you didn't plan, you don't have an army, you didn't start a militia group, you haven't been practicing, and now the the Muslim army is 100 miles from your door, and now you're going to do something. And what exactly are you going to do?
Yeah, but half of these conservatives, probably like your dad, have been told by people like fucking Claire here that like these Muslims are conservatives too. So they probably see them. They probably see them as allies, even though they don't realise that they're on.
Well,
the
now that's
team.
happening, and it is the alt-right that's going towards the Muslims. I mean, every day there's another racist who converted to Islam. I mean, it's just, it's true. It's true. The thing is that the two are uniting, and even Islam is starting to understand that it has to unite with the right instead of the left. And, there's this unholy alliance coming, and, like, you can't be trusted. I mean, you cannot be trusted. Straight white men cannot be trusted not to go to Islam. No, that you can't be trusted to not go to. Just like the women can't. The women can't be.
Maybe there's white women converting. You see occasionally a white woman walking around in a hijab or something, and it's weird. But I don't know, white men. That's like 0.0.
Well, it's changing now. It's changing now. They're starting to realize, and like, those posters. I don't know if you have them in Britain, but in America, the boys put up those posters. Islam is right about women, and they do it to provoke the women, and the women get mad. But then it starts the discussion. Well, women, I thought there was nothing. Leftists, I thought there was nothing wrong with Islam. So what's wrong when we say men are right about Islam? And who are these men? And why did they put up those flyers? And aren't they like, having some sympathy for Islam? A lot of this is happening.
Yeah, that was a meme to just create like the paradox in the liberal mind. Okay, because both groups are at the time were basically beyond the ability to be criticised. So you couldn't criticise Islam, and you couldn't criticise basically sluts or feminism. And so there's the paradox there. Islam's right about women. What does it mean? And how does the liberal mind receive this? And does it like explode trying to answer the question? That's all that was. But yeah, in recent weeks and months, especially since October the 7th, there has been an attempt or like a temporary meeting of like counter-Semites, you might call them, people on the right wing against Israel, the Israeli overreach in Gaza and Muslims, and you can see that like with the Keith Woods crowd and that cozying up to people, Muslims who oppose Israel and stuff. But the truth about it is they're not our friends. They're not our friends whatsoever. So.
No, well, I mean,
it's a mistake, I think, to cozy up to these people.
Well, that's what's starting to happen, and well, Muslims vote, even though they have conservative values, they vote, and I think I would actually say that Muslims who do vote Republican are more loyal than whites who vote Republican. I think that the average Muslim is more political and more politically
Muslims
astute.
Vote left.
No, but those who do vote, I'm sure that those who do vote Republican are more loyal to them than the white people are. And I'm sure that, even when Muslims are in the Republican Party, they're very active and they become the heads of all these committees, and it's like they become.
Do you know any Muslim Republicans? Can you think of any? There's some Indians like that Ramaswamy guy. There's that.
He's not a Muslim.
No, he's a Hindu.
Of course, there's Republican. There's Republican.
Well,
Muslim
I'm sure there's
committees.
Like a few, but can you think of any high-profile ones?
Who cares if it's not high profile? I mean,
well, it's showing that they're not represented very well.
Well, I mean, it's just starting out. It's just at least it's starting out. I mean, well, this is the other thing about the straight white man is that you don't kill infants in the cradle. You see the infant in the cradle and you said, well, come bother me when it's grown up. Like, what, why would you even want that infant to grow up? What I'm telling you is that, are there Republican Muslim committees? Yes, there are. Like, how many of them do you need? Like, you need the mushrooms to be spreading all over the field before you actually
I don't
do
know.
something.
I don't believe it. It's probably just a face. They're probably just putting on a face. But when they get down to the
but
mosque,
things are
their
changing.
imam will say, "Oh, go vote Democrat, boys."
No, there's plenty of like, what's his name? Claire talks to that reactionary Shia, and I think he's a white convert, but his whole thing is that
Oh, well, there you go.
Muslims have more in common with the traditional right wing than they do with the left wing. It is happening, and these things. It's
Yeah, but
you
they're
have to
not
have,
stupid, and they vote for the left because they know that the left protects their minority status within the society, and so that comes first. That's like existentialism first, and so they put that first. They're not stupid. When it comes down to voting, they know who's bringing them into the country, who's protecting them, who's enthroning their minority status in society, who's diminishing like the rights of the white majority. So when it comes down to it, they vote against the white natives of the host countries, and they're doing that consistently everywhere. They vote like an enemy within, a third column.
Okay, so it says, well, Muslim voters voted more for Trump in 2020 than they did in 2016. So there was an increase in Republican voting for Trump in his second election.
Yeah, well, he picked up 10 million votes since over 2016.
It jumped from 16% to 30%, so it doubled.
It's still not a lot. 70% vote against.
Okay, but no, 30% is not insignificant. Look, the 30% of Hindus voted Republican, but they pulled out the stops to get them because it mattered, because they're in swing states. And so, yes, a couple hundred or a couple thousand of Hindus mattered, and a couple thousand or a couple hundred of Muslims in swing states matters. And so, the fact that 30% now vote Democrat or Republican, is not insignificant.
It's irrelevant anyway, because, I mean, what?
30% is 20% away from 50%. It's not nothing.
No, I mean, all this is based upon the premise that the right wing would be a threat to Muslims. But they're not, in fact. Ironically, you might see more people, more of them, even more than the 30% voting this time, just because, all the Israel shit since October the 7th has happened on Joe Biden's watch, so all the Muslims really aren't happy. So maybe they'll vote for Trump because they're just so polarized on that particular issue this time, but who knows? I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the position that you're going to take. Who cares? And don't think that serious about it.
White conservative voters are betrayed every single time anyway. Like over here, Vincent, for all the mass migration. Really,
you don't know how to be a minority.
Under the Tory government.
These other people who have absolutely no voting power. I don't know what. Look, I still think there's less Muslims in America than Jews, or they're about equal. So, America has always been around 2 to 3% Jewish, but they play up their vote count like nothing, and they go and they get these politicians to turn over for 0.25% of a vote, and the thing is that they actually try, and they go and they present themselves and they say, hi, we can get you 1% more of the vote. And white people just don't do that. White conservatives don't go and say, hey, we could get you. I mean, Ann Coulter said this. Do you want 0.25% of the vote, or do you want to get 50% of more votes? Like, one is a lot bigger than the other, but white people just don't go to the government and say, hey, we're white conservatives. We can get you 75% of the vote. work for us. They just don't do that. They don't try that. They just sit on their ass and complain.
Yeah, well, look, we know how. I think in America, it's mainly done. It's not about getting these 1% of votes. It's about getting the candidate funding for his campaign, and so large
No,
donors.
it is about getting 1%. But no, obviously you
large
don't
donors are
understand.
used.
No, in America, these things actually matter because we don't have a one person, one vote system. So, you want to win the whole
Well,
thing.
maybe I'm mistaken.
It does matter. It does matter. 1% of the vote. Look, Hindus for Trump. Trump went. Do you know that Trump only went to one big religious group rally, and that was for Hindus? To get in Pennsylvania 1% of the vote, not even 1% of the vote. He did this for 1% votes all around. He got a 1% vote in Virginia. He did it for 1% of the vote. He did it for 1% of the vote.
Okay, well, okay, fair enough. I was thinking about local candidates.
That's smart. Well, that's smart, and I think maybe even no, but I don't think But white people can't go up to them.
But that's not how smart, like, for instance, Jews or other ethnic minorities really wield their power in American politics, is it? It's about funding candidates for their elections, and these candidates know that if they agree to, like, the policies of, like, APAC is a good example and stuff, then money will come. And in American politics, you have to have like $1 million at least, or whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe it's more, just to run an election for a House, Senate. And if you don't appease these people, you don't get the money. Your opposition candidate does. They plaster the media with all their adverts. They have all the signs up in the streets. They have all the activists on the ground knocking door to door. You don't. You lose the election. The other guy gets in. So on some level, it's who is willing to fund the candidate. And that comes from these organised minority lobbies. And some of the best people at doing that are the best people at doing it are the Jews. Let's credit them for it. They're very good at organising and getting the money to political candidates. It's one of the things they do best.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that but votes do matter. And, okay, Latinos don't have tons of money to be giving over, but they have lots of organizations, to go to these candidates and say, hey, we can get you 5% of the vote. We can get you these numbers, and candidates, if white people organize, let's say that there was the White Christian League, and the White Christian League said that if you make this your policy, we can get you 55% of the vote. You would have astronomical power. You know what I mean? There's lots of other groups besides Jews that lobby and get favoritism in America.
Yeah, I think isn't promising votes actually illegal anyway?
Please!
I know
Like,
it happens in mosques and things. Like an imam will tell his whole mosque, "You go and vote for this candidate," and they all do like sheep.
No, Stephen. Yes, you are allowed to go. A group for Latinos, for whoever, are allowed to go. Republican Latinos are allowed to go to a Republican candidate and say, "If you put these types of policies on your agenda, then we can get you 5% of the vote." That's totally legal.
I doubt that these promises of votes, though, really matter as much as promises of like $250,000 to fund 50 candidates going knocking door to door.
So then why do our politicians in America pander so much to ethnic minorities that can get them 5-6% of the vote? Look, if you went after the Latinos, the East Asians, the Indians, the Africans, if you went after women, if you went after every minority and they all came to you and you put a little bit of sugar in the pie for them or whatever they're getting, or cutting a little wedge of the pie for them, then you can win. But there is no white men's voting league. I mean, I'm sure white men vote less than anyone else does. They certainly don't petition the government. And say we can get...
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Okay, well then sue in it. You don't know how to be minorities.
It's not legal to organise under the banner of white, Vincent. You can't go out there and say the white party is here now. Good God, Vincent, have you seen the state of affairs?
You can have
absolutely not
a white voters
No, you
league.
can't. Vincent,
that's illegal. It's not illegal in America.
Look, you'll be destroyed in every other single way, other than like at the level. Yeah,
because they don't have because when white men aren't totally in power, they don't have conviction. They're not willing to be persecuted. White men are not willing to be persecuted. No, you don't want to be persecuted.
You'll get hounded by the Fed. You'll get hounded by the federal government. You'll be swarmed with feds. You'll be debanked. You'll be smeared as like
nothing like that's happened to me.
Right.
Nothing like. I talk about white issues all the time, and I promote white causes all the time, and I don't have any problems here in America. No cops.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're attempting to subvert our politics in order for like gay supremacy. So I'm sure nobody's out there. I'm sure the feds would love you to just carry on.
No, I don't think they want a white gay man. Hold on one second.
It's like Claire Core claims to be this big champion and that, but really she's just an ethnic minority pushing subversive politics against the host nation. So the state is just like saying, "Carry on, love, carry on."
No, I'm just trying to single-handedly save the white race with my role as a Messiah substitute.
With your third column of let's all become Islamic.
They don't want to marry white women. They don't want to father white babies. What can I do? You're not interested. You just want to go and moan.
No, it's irrelevant. The point I'm making is you're both each a minority pushing a subversive set of policies that are against the white host status quo, basically.
Keep crying. You're just not willing to sacrifice. Claire got fucking arrested for her fucking activism, and she's willing to do it.
No, she got arrested for stalking a disabled woman, basically.
There were other things that were piled up against me, I suppose, in that Arch Lever file. Well, isn't it disgraceful? You can't even save yourselves, and you don't want to be saved. You don't want to be saved. Look at me.
Yeah, they're also just they're not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to be persecuted. They're not willing to, lose their job.
They have no principles because they have no religion.
No, they're just not willing to sacrifice. And, they don't know how...
They're not prepared to sacrifice their womanhood, these men.
They're not even making any sense. Women. You're just talking nonsense. You don't see it. You can't see outside of your own little narrow bubbles. But if you were a white person and you were concerned with the demographic decline of our native peoples, and you see that anybody who has attempted to organise in that thing, they get identified as a potential
threat. No, because you do it aggressively and stupidly. You don't just go, "Hi, we're peaceful white people that don't want to hurt anyone, but we're here voting as a voting bloc. Hurrah!" You do it in fuck you. That's just not the way to do it.
And Vincent is right. They should
I don't doubt that. I kind of agree with you about that. White politics, when it has attempted to organise, has made many mistakes. They fall victim to basically goose-stepping like Nazis. Often, that's been a history of stuff like that, and getting mixed up in foreign ideologies that don't really serve the cause or anything like that. They LARP. But really, it doesn't matter. You can't even get away with saying it's okay to be white without being cancelled. So you two just haven't got a clue
because it's not
because
okay to be white.
you're both a minority in your own rights. Exactly, Clay. It's not okay to be white. That's the point.
Well,
Vincent seems to think it is because he's got fucking gay privilege to go around the internet spouting off any bullshit that he wants that is subversive to the natural order of things.
Well, I suppose they leave him alone because they don't think he'll ever.
Well, Antifa's not going to come and hound Vincent, are they?
Well, they might if he becomes big.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
But if he did, I mean, I think you guys are being hounded.
All it
because it's
took was
you're
one
potentially
white
big,
man.
You're potentially big.
All it took was one white man, John Vance, to just get like a sniff of the homosexual mind virus the other day, and Vincent was like straight up, whoa, brother, come on in. We're going to get you set up. Fucking amazing. Let's get you fucking set up with a tranny wife and all this kind of shit.
And then what happened? Has anything
Me and John
happened?
Vance still have to stream about that. But
he's resigned
okay,
from being a Muslim, by the way, since.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. He's coming our way. That's good. I can't believe.
Okay, and you're happy that he's going to go tranny, are you?
Yes, he is. He is. Yes. Me? Absolutely not. I think it absolutely. Well, got to be careful what I say. Potentially unhealthy for his future.
Well, I disagree, and the thing is that I am going to encourage it, and it's a step up, and it's made me realize that, if they can't go fully gay, then get them with the trannies and the surrogates,
Exactly.
However
How is that to our benefit, Vincent?
However,
you wonder why
at least
you're
you'll be
allowed to
having
carry on the internet.
At least you'll be having children under my program, because the tranny wife can help. So you have two incomes.
Imagine what that child will turn out like. Fuck it, me.
Oh, please, you heterosexuals make wonderful children. 90% of your children are worthless.
The entire history of civilization, all the fruits of it have come from this natural process, Vincent.
Rotten fruit, gross fruit, fruit that needs to be.
Oh my god!
And the more natural fruit is, the less sweet it is, the less nutritious.
Just because you had a bad childhood doesn't mean everybody has.
Oh please! Oh, is that why the world works so well? Is that why the world has always worked so well and so put together and organized and peacefully? Because you people are just so just the best rulers that have ever come along.
No, it's just because we're still in the early days of humanity. People think that we're in the modern age here, but really we're living in just a blink after the Stone Age. So we're still working out all the problems of humanity.
As we progress, you disappear, and it's time for a better form of organization and procreation that can actually keep up with the heart of civilization once it becomes advanced. So, step aside. And it's going to happen. We're going to have to force you aside. You're going to force yourself aside because you don't want the women anymore, so you're all going MGTOW. And you know what? Actually, they were telling me, I forget if it was John Vance. No. It was someone else that was on the thing with John Vance, and we were talking about this. And they actually said, even though they're not gay, you'll be able to get MGTOW with all this surrogacy shit and not having sex with women because, they just don't want to have sex with women, but they want to have kids. So maybe you can get them with the surrogates. Maybe they won't be sleeping with trannies, but maybe I'll get them on my side too.
You're so excited about this, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I am, and I think everyone was making fun of me, but at least I have I put up my article 5 weeks ago, and it's a really radical idea, and if I have a convert in 5 weeks, if I have one convert in 5 weeks, I won't complain. I'm not going to complain. I'm not Claire trying to take over the world tomorrow. I have time. I have, if I told everyone, if by the time I die, I've seen one child born into a gay eugenic surrogacy program, I'll be happy.
Holy shit.
I'll be
Why would that
happy.
make you happy? Why? Why?
Well, I would be happy in that I feel as though I accomplished something and I set something down that can go on into the future. And Claire's not going to be happy unless she takes over with secular
What you want
colonialism
is already
tomorrow.
happening. What you want is already happening.
No, it needs to happen in an official,
YouTuber,
and it has to happen in an official stop. This is what you always do. Oh, it's already happening, so why
that
put your effort
YouTuber
into it?
Shane
Absolutely
Dawson
not.
just did it.
It's not happening fast enough, and it's not happening organized enough, and it's not happening powerful enough, and there's a lot more that needs to happen. And it's not. I'm not just like this like you people are so sleazy. You always have these really gross ways that you think are going to work on other people's minds, and it just doesn't. Like, oh, it's already happening. Why are you bothering? What do you think I am, fucking retarded? That you're going to tell me, oh, it's already happening, so why even try? I'm going to put the pedal to the metal. That's why. It's just like you have such low self-esteem for homosexuals. You have such
let me share my screen. I'm offering my screen here. Look.
What is it? Tranny porn? Hold on, let me say.
It's not tranny porn. Don't be stupid.
I've never seen tranny porn.
Oh, it's
good.
John Vance is here. John?
Holy shit. No, I want to share my screen.
Okay,
there we go. Look, YouTubers Shane Dawson and Rylan Adams, both homos, expecting twins via surrogate. They've just had them, I think.
Good. Well, I'm glad about that. And now John Vance is here, so we can discuss it with him. John, if you have time to stay, we won't. I mean,
holy shit.
No, we have to do our own stream
I got all
on
the
this.
time in the world.
No, but the thing is that I think that it's just time to do this differently. And like I do think that if we can make men happy with trannies, and then you have a dual income, so you can so one man's income can go towards paying a woman to bear the child, nurse the child, and actually just you pay her your yearly income to have a child every 2 or 3 years for you. Then you have your child, you have your child, and you have two parents, and we were talking about this, that I think that trannies,
look at the happy family there. Oh my god.
Trannies I think wanna look okay, but we were talking about there's a phenomenon going on. This tranny thing is blowing up. Like, more and more men want trannies, okay? And straight men want trannies. The thing is that straight men are leaving their wives for trannies, and it's because the trannies are trying harder, okay? They're trying harder to be better women, and they want to be like the perfect woman for their man, and they want to be a sex toy that's a bitch and doesn't think, and
it's ridiculous.
Nodding his head.
It's ridiculous.
Him nodding his head like a nodding dog.
Well, I would say.
I don't know if I can do this again. To be honest,
a straight man's point of view is that, and there's actually numbers to back this up. Is that there's a YouTuber Aaron Clooney, I believe, and he's basically saying if you're like even average height, don't waste your time with Western women. Go to the Philippines, go to China, go find a wife there. And,
John, we've gone way past going and getting a brown wife.
He's actually looking at the situation. He's actually providing practical avenues instead of this kind of this gynocentric take that the white nationalists have, of that women are just like the beacon of existence, and because they have a uterus, we need to repopulate the white race or else we're going to get bred out. But the thing is, what you miss is you're just going to breed more and more useless people that are not going to serve in the national interest. And so what Vincent is offering is actually kind of a Ubermensch kind of eugenics kind of program, as opposed to a dysgenic, ungrateful program that leaves the children with the woman most of the time.
Well,
Things like yeah.
the other thing is that we need to do is that this would necessitate polygyny. So what you basically want is you don't want every male breeding. You want every female breeding so that you have large population growth. But you only want the best of your males breeding with all of the females. So if you take, first of all, you want this would help us take control. You know, this would help us take control in that it would be easier for us to impregnate more than one woman because there's not an emotional thing there. One gay man with his tranny girlfriend or 50 tranny girlfriends can afford to get 2, 3, 4 women pregnant at a time. And, you know, we would be able to take over, we would be able to take over the reproductive system, whereas these men, they want a one-on-one wife and they're unattractive and you know, all these different kinds of things, and they want monogamy so that everyone can get a wife, but most men don't deserve one, and it's dysgenic. Monogamy is dysgenic. So yeah, it would help us practice polygamy, and we would only get the best of the gays and the, or you know, whatever, to breed, only the best, you know, to breed, and that would just, you know, take care of that.
And at least you're utilizing wombs as well too, because with the monogamy experiment, you'll see by 2030 that 40% of women are going to be single and childless. So you're not utilizing the wombs that you have. So with this model, you would, you know, utilize. I'm for polygamy. Yeah.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, we would definitely use polygamy. I mean, I have to kind of establish this into the whole thing to make it, you know, official. But you know, you have to kind of like start a cult of this that's sexualized in order to kind of like induct people in. But you start like a cult of like doing this. You know what I mean? Like you make it like a lifestyle, and you make it the lifestyle. And instead of don't like homosexuals or bisexuals or people into trannies or something, it needs to be. It is, you know, it's a sexual lifestyle, but it needs to be about sex and reproduction, like it used to be in ancient times. Homosexuals and LGBTQs or whatever were, you know, they've always been associated with fertility cults and like things like that, and like wherever there's like sexuality meeting religion, you will find more LGBTQ acceptance. But in ancient days, yes, there was a degree of fertility cult in there, and you know, men were more bisexual, and so they would be able to have sex with other men, but still impregnate the women. But what I'm saying is that what I'm offering is a little bit more like pure segregation between the sexes, because you want to do this. You don't want this to be emotional. You want this to be more scientific. And this is a program of breeding. This isn't like, let me fall in love with a woman because I like her tits, or because, you know, maybe she has a good personality, but okay, she's really good in bed and she's really fun and she's actually really nice, but she's like borderline schizophrenic and an alcoholic and drug addict, but I overlook it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing is not going to be happening. It sterilizes the relationship so that it can be approached more logically. So yes, I do want to discourage men having sex with women. So I would encourage being with trannies rather than being bisexual, because then you're confusing the matter. You're confusing it.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it, and I've written a lot of it, but I don't know if Stephen is still here or if he left.
I think he left.
Let me see. Did he leave?
It's a tough pill for white. It's a tough pill for white nationalists to say that probably 2% of your women are actually marriage material, so they just go in denial. And there is some white nationalists that accept that faith, but there's others that they go gynocentric, and they think straight women are just the beacon of, say, oh, look at our women, they're most beautiful women, but they just look on the outside. They don't actually look at the personality, the character traits, most of these types.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing that we could do, if we say most women aren't really worth it, we could always use some women just for their wombs and just harvest eggs from the women that we want. I mean, that's the other thing that, yeah, we could just harvest eggs. We can do this in a lot more. Harvest the eggs from the best women that you want to breed with, and use the rest of the women as surrogates. And we don't care. We don't have that emotional attachment to her, and let her fuck whoever she wants. If she wants to have kids on her own with another man 3 years later, then let her do it. She breaks leave the contract. She wants to go have a family now, or just during the whole period of time, let her be free. And I think that women, if they're getting paid and they have a roof over their house and they're able to, maybe they won't choose a man. Maybe when that kind of stuff happens, women don't choose to be with men anymore, because, or at least monogamously, because they have choices. And every men always complain, oh, women are what's it called, hypergamous. They always go looking for a better option. Yeah, they're always looking for a better option. Well, okay, well then this will give them the lifestyle they want, and just sleep with the straight men and use them, and then they don't have to have children either, and they're bad at doing it anyway. And just keep the heterosexuals in check like that by keeping them out of monogamous marriage and on low, keep their birth control low, and then we just rent out all the wombs. You know what I mean? And how do we rent out the wombs? Well, half of it is, the tranny wives can fucking sleep with the straight men who are the ones paying for it. The thing is that half of those straight men are actually on our side, and will pay for the tranny porn and all that other kind of stuff.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just listening.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there's not. I mean, but it has to. You have to come up with something new, and the thing is that Claire wants to enforce the old way that doesn't work for everybody, and it makes people happy. And my thing with her, as I always tell her, is that it just ends in rebellion after rebellion after rebellion. Yes, okay, liberalism rises, and then you get gay people, and then you get women free, and then people stop having kids, and all these other bad things happen. And then the conservatives say, well, we're not going to let the society be taken over, so let's just enslave everyone under a new legal system or under a new religion and force all the women to be our slaves again, and the men back in the closet, and then that lasts for 200 years, and then everyone rebels again, and it's just endless. And this way kind of gets rid of it. There's no more war of the sexes, and there's no more war of the sexualities. It's just, we have to radically, fanatically take over breeding. We have to outbreed them, and we have to create social conditions which reduce their breeding, until we need to encourage them to practice eugenics among themselves, heterosexuals, but we have to do it we have to we're trying to increase our breeding, but there's a lapse period in between where we're increasing our breeding and we have large populations, and then we can start reducing theirs. But until then, we have to wait. We have to wait we need them breeding because we need genetic material, we need surrogates, we need this, we need that. So, I mean, and if they're going to be breeding, they might as well do it the best way. So things like promoting polygamy amongst even heterosexuals would be good, saying, okay, women, it's better for you all to be with one really great hot guy that has lots of genetic, potential to him, than for you to each, to go out and find some loser, you know what I mean? Let your polygamous, Chad husband, let you fuck some loser on the side if you need to get fucked, but you don't have to marry him. You know what I mean?
You're basically taking the sexual revolution to its natural conclusion, pretty much.
Well, the sexual revolution was supposed to be eugenic. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. Marie Stopes was a eugenicist. Havelock Ellis, the sexologist, was a eugenicist. They wanted to use sex to part of it was they wanted people to become sexualized so that they would crave birth control more so that they could have sex without having children. And the point of doing that was they said, okay, well, the most valuable, intelligent, hardworking people in society have so few children because they're involved in everything else on earth except for procreating. And if they can, they avoid it. And if they can find some way to use birth control, they use it because they want to learn how to play a violin. They don't want to be taking after a screaming baby. And the thing is that they said, okay, the people who are not intellectual, that are not hardworking, they have nothing else to do, and they're too dumb to even think about the concerns of raising children, and they just breed like flies. So they said, okay, if we get everybody having low family rates, then it'll even out. Then we'll have talented people, but we'll have, we won't have as many untalented people in order to like bring them down. So the idea was, okay, well, let's just sexualize people and give them birth control so that they want sex without having children. And but and so that that was part of it. But you have to go in the other direction too. That's only negative eugenics. You have to then increase the population of the people that you want. And the best way to do that is polygamy. And the best form of polygamy is one man and many women. You take the cream of the crop of the men and you breed them to all the women, and then that's just improving the population. There's lots of things that have to be done, but the dynamics between all the different LGBTQs, like we have to get lesbians to procreate with each other, and lesbian eugenics is the most easy peasy eugenics. And I curse myself for not being a woman, because if I was a woman, I could just say, let's all be lesbians and let's just use men for semen, and we'll all marry each other communally, and raise our children like that and practice eugenics that way. And because it's just, you have the womb, you're the one with the womb, and there's you're all women, you can all get pregnant. And the thing is that it's going to be easier to fuse eggs together and reproduce without men than it is going to be to make artificial wombs and using creating artificial eggs. That's like horrible. That's just like even though I promote that, that's going to be so difficult. But if you're women, of course you could just you can much more easily find a way to do that. And then you have the wombs. You don't have to invent a womb. Women could definitely get rid of men. You know what I mean? Then it would be, if I was a woman, I would be advocating for that. I'd be like, let's just create some eugenic lesbian empire and I would win. But I don't think that, women are going to think like that. You know what I mean? If they do, I'm scared, but I don't think that they're going to think like, okay, let's let's do this on our own and create some kind of goddess race that wipes everyone else out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I just don't see women. There is actually communities like that have sprung up, like low-income communities where there's like a bunch of single women. They would share like a house or a flat or something like that, like a low-income single moms. There is kind of communities like that already spread across the West. So what you're saying is not really out of the ordinary.
Something like that can be. Well, I know, but the thing is that what they're only doing because they are low income and they didn't plan it out this way, and they have failed marriages, and it wasn't some kind of project to improve the human race.
Is built out of necessity.
Yeah.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes, and I don't know how it can be steered, but there's just lots to do. There's lots that needs to be done and discussed, and we're gonna have our own kind of stream on this. But I can't believe Stephen J. James left. That's just so dumb.
Well, he left in disgust. He didn't want to be associated with it.
Well, the thing is that. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, he lives in delusion. He likes putting down people, but he doesn't like to be accountable for himself. So that's what I find. He has a certain audience that he has to tailor to, and he makes money off of. So it's bad optics for him to stay past a certain point with somebody with real ideas,
So that video of yours was about him, the 8-minute video?
Just in general. Mm-hmm. Just people like that in general. Just in activist spheres. It's always this it's always like they always want to try to profit off of problems. They always want to try to profit off of somebody's shortcomings. Hey, this person failed. Look at me. I'm a streamer. Look at me pointing out there's failures. And people love that stuff. They love being derogatory towards somebody or self-deprecating, I guess, towards people. And so it's just kind of this kind of neuroticism that is a never-ending cycle that just goes down, 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 down. And it's just that's basically the psychology of, you know, most online communities, and that's including the nationalist sphere of European people. And you know, you see it. They like trolling, and they don't use the real names, and so they don't really believe what they're saying. They're just kind of just doing it for clout, and like, hey, look at I BTFO, but it's not really like it's not really making a point anymore. It's just kind of it's just a dead end strategy at this point, because when you talk to somebody who actually, it might work on like a liberal or like a shit lib or anything like that, but when you're trying to put it on like intellectuals on the internet, like Vincent, Clericall, and I, like it's just kind of, it's just disingenuous, and I believe that he's kind of sees himself in that sphere a little bit. So, you know, but he's the representative, I guess. So, yeah. So that's basically, you know, how I view his work. He's a young dude, so, you know, I'm not gonna fault him for it or anything like that, but just in general.
Have you been watching any millennial?
No, I don't care for that. I think it's an Anglo thing.
You think it's an Anglo thing? Well, it's a
I
transatlantic
think so.
thing.
I just, it's like all I hear about is this Anglos just talking about it. And I'm like, I don't even give a shit about this.
So have you given up on nationalism?
No, don't care.
You don't care anymore?
Don't care about politics. I don't care. You know, I was a point, like I was making still partisan takes, but I don't give a shit about Palestine or Israel, Ukraine, Russia. It's all just a stupid ploy. And, that's why I've given up Islam, because you eventually have to take a side, and so I'd rather just focus on things that are actually worthwhile, and like building communities that have healthy values, instead of always going into whatever the mainstream is and then talking about it, basically like harvesting off of the mainstream for content. I just don't. I just want to stay. I just want to stay away from it as much as possible, because it's not a fruitful conversation at that point. So
how have the Muslims treated you in your mosque?
I just don't like. I don't think that Islam is really like it's a kind of a dysfunctional community to begin with. There's lots of different interpretations, kind of like Christianity, and so and then there's a lot of Muslims that say, oh, because I don't speak Arabic, I'm not I can't be a real Muslim. And so it's basically, I viewed it kind of like a toxic community, basically. And so like it's not really conducive to doing anything. They're just puppets towards the bigger agenda anyway. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's wisdom in all Abrahamic religions, but I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna say I'm Muslim or I'm this or that, like it's a really toxic environment to be in to begin with. And so, you know, like I just want to push away from that. And
didn't they offer to find you a wife at your local mosque?
You know what? I don't even want to. Like I said, I don't want to be associated with that community in any way anymore. I kind of want to understand. Understand that I did a lot of work with that, but I kind of want to fade it out, kind of thing, and like I could still talk about it, because still remnant of the past, but I kind of want to erase it, fade away, and go on a new journey, basically. And
do you wish you hadn't converted?
I think at the time I thought I was going somewhere, but I think it's just I think there's like a shaman kind of teaching of, you know, you have to go through things basically. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to basically put your hand on the stove to figure out
Mm-hmm.
it's hot for you to like get it. Like some people can tell you, hey, that stove is hot, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll get, oh, okay, yeah, right. But you don't like you're
You don't really
you
know
don't
until
really
you
get it,
get
but
burned.
like until you like actually feel it, and then like your brain makes that connection, like
Mm-hmm.
verbally. I'm like, verbally is okay, good, but like it's stronger when you can actually go through something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm. You haven't
I
tried
just
out
don't
other
see any
masks.
point really just kind of just sticking out with things for its own sake
Mm-hmm.
at this point. So I know like our generation, but you see kind of the failings in our generation. We don't even treat each other with respect anymore. We just kind of see each other as replaceable, just in general. And so I want to get away from the mainstream society basically and form a community that is nourishing and can reach my full potential.
It sounds like you want to become a cult leader.
Possibly.
Possibly.
I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to get enough women to come with you, right?
Yes, that's what
You have
we
to
are
buy the
working on.
women. You have to buy the women. You have to
Yes.
look. Just pay them. Just
Yes.
pay the bitches. You know what I mean?
Hey, those
Ma-
bitches.
make a contract. Just, none of this, oh, but can we fuck you? Oh, but I want to have some control over your life, and I want to control how you spend your money, and you have to live in the same house as I do, and you can't sleep with anyone else, and, these different kinds of things. Just know, hey, why don't I just make your life totally easy, give you an apartment and a salary, and, just have my babies for me, and have a boyfriend on the side. I really don't care, and everyone's happy, and then the boys who don't want to be boys become trannies, and sleep with the men, and everyone's happy because they're better women than the women, and the women, if hopefully, will all just become lesbians, and then I don't know, maybe we'll all just become gay, and then we don't have to
And
worry about
become
getting rid of.
extinct.
No, how are we going to become extinct if we're procreating like rabbits?
I don't think it'll be procreating like rabbits. They might be screwing each other silly, but I don't think, to the extent of neglecting their offspring. But I mean, this really is the end, isn't it, Vincent?
It's the beginning.
It's a new dawn.
Yeah, it's the dawn of the gay era. This is the real. I hate when people say globo homo. No, peak globo homo. That's the most stupid term. Peak. This is like we're right where we're in right now is nowhere near peak. Peak is when it's like everyone's gay through like genetic engineering, and then it's like set in cement, and we know all of the operative modes to make people gay, and or when there's just no women or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to start. I don't know if we'll ever get rid of women. Maybe we'll have to have an LGBTQ and keep around the lesbians and the bis and the trans and all these other people, and whatever. It's really more about eugenics, to be honest with you, than anything else with me. I mean, I'm just really think that the only way to improve humanity is to elevate ourselves, eugenically, and then we'll start thinking better, smarter, more moral, kinder, stronger and softer at the same time, and kind of like a more balanced race, and spiritual elevation through physical refinement, and just physically refine the race, and things on its own will get better. If you have a more intelligent race that you breed them, to be people who are concerned and affectionate, and these different kinds of things. But not everyone should be that way. You need different classes of people. You need warriors that are fucking have no empathy and just want to kill things and things like that. I mean, you need all this kind of shit. You
It's quite a
sound you're
big
not you
pill. It's quite a big pill to swallow. but I can definitely see Vincent's long vision. I've always said this too. I always sympathize with his views. And now that I have a tranny girlfriend, I get it. But anyway, I think all civilizations that are kind of modernized will eventually lead to the point that we're at right now.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean you'll see the passport bros or whatever, but like they're basically in the 90s of a modern society, and then those women are eventually going to be like what we have today. So you just think of it as like a simulation instead of trying to manipulate your will and trying to control everything. If you think everything in like a simulation kind of mindset, you become more sane and more level-headed, as opposed to going crazy and trying to change the world in a world you can't really change.
Well, the thing is that I think you said that things naturally progress in this way. Yes, I think that as civilizations kind of as heterosexuality reaches its pinnacle, and the heterosexuals aren't evolved enough to, evolve anymore, create any more higher civilization, things do start trending towards, not feminism, and lots of people becoming gay, and transvestism, and all these different kinds of things start to appear. And I'm just saying, like, and then if it's just allowed to just act just like that without any kind of weaving of a new material out of feminism and gay rights and transvestism, then yes, it collapses. But I'm just saying, okay, so this is where we are when we get to the pinnacle. So let's couple that with reproduction, a fertility cult, to keep it at the pinnacle in that way. Or what I'm saying is that we would actually then be able to reach for a new pinnacle, or there would be a non-pinnacle, a pinnacleless society. But I'm just saying that we are actually, what I think is happening is that as you become more civilized and life becomes more civilized, and it changes your epigenetics. And the thing is that why do women have so much control in our civilized society? Because now things are not so physically difficult, and it's not about aggression anymore, and it's not about like brute force anymore. It's more about mind and emotion and perception and mind control and things like that. So women naturally take over. I think that when it gets like this, people start becoming LGBTQ through epigenetics because they are actually better adapted. Gay people are more civilized. Gay people are more naturally, people make fun of gay boys because they're too nice, they're too civilized, you're too polite, you learn manners too easily. You're not sloppy, you're not a brute. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the thing is that we start mutating to fit our environment, and then as things become civilized, yes, it is better to be gay, and that does give you more power, and actually you have more power than the bull in the china shop. And so we have to take that material, but there might be something off about it naturally, in that, okay, like, they stop reproducing, and that actually doesn't work. But just if we just change our nature a little purposely and we start reproducing, then we overcome that. And I'm just saying that we would have to just the world has all been plowed, and all the trees are gone, and all the fields are here, and we can plant all the crops, and we can make everything really nice, and leave it as it is, and just don't let the wilderness retake it. So, and don't let science collapse, and don't let civilization collapse, because then the heterosexuals will come back. But just basically, you have to make it a paradise if you want things to remain gay. People become gay when things are really, really, really nice. And so, make the world really, really nice and not a horrible place, and a paradise, and then you'll just have endless gay sex forever.
Is that how you want to spend the rest of your life, John?
in a paradise Earth with your girlfriend, and like nobody fighting, no problems, just organized and peaceful, and loving, about love. Like, what else? It's about, yeah. It would just, I don't know. What else would it be about? It would just be about
I,
love, I guess.
I just find the world just really wretched and really intolerable. So it would be more tolerable, I guess. A utopia is nice, but you're never at a complete pinnacle. But at least with my time here, it'd be nice to be in a community where I'm not, despised, and I'm not ridiculed, or I'm not always denigrated all the time. It would be preferable. Yes, it would be preferable. I mean, I like criticism, but it's just this this kind of denigrating behavior, and this, like, seeing each other as just replaceable units of production. It just gets to you after a while, and you're seeing the woman just like being really crass, and just wanting to basically use men, and just kind of breaking the contract at will, and nobody really holding them accountable to it. I think that this type of society that Vincent is bringing up, or is becoming, is more tolerable, at least with my existence. And I always advocate building new communities. So I wholeheartedly support Vincent's vision.
Sounds
you
like
know
you've given up, John.
I've given up on this society because there's nothing left to really fucking fight for. God damn it. What is there to fucking fight for? Just go your own way. There's people going their own way in their own expression. So, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I can predict the future. Although I maybe I came through, mathematics a little bit. But what I'm saying is that you can't really change the world, because that's just either A, you go psycho, you go to jail, you just die as a martyr for nothing, or you just kind of grift off of it. You either stream for it, or you write a book about it and make money off of it. Those are really the only avenues, but you're just fooling yourself. It's just a fool's errand to think that you can change the world back to whatever 1950s morality, or whatever, or some Islamic morality. It's a fool's game, and I just don't really want to be part of any of these groups, because I see them for what they are. They are just useful, ideas for the elite to manipulate, and to cause even more strife and division. I think I have enough strife and division in my life as it is, and I exasperate it enough to where I've awakened now to the point where I think that now I'm desiring like something that's actually a healthy community and has healthy values, as opposed to toxic expectations that are unattainable anyway. So it's just kind of me just going my own way in my own expression. So, it's just weird how that works. But I think through epigenetics, like if we were to actually have a meaningful civilization, or a meaningful existence, at least a meaningful community that we actually like being a part of, where it's not something you're trying to get away from all the time, I think that's a healthy step in the right direction. And it's good for anyone's mental health, really, at this point.
You're just trying to get away from being despised.
I don't. Well, why would I want to be despised? Like, what? Why do I want to identify with groups where I'm despised? I'm despised for multiple reasons all the time, and so like, what's even the point of even like? And we're just being used up anyway. We're being used up and abused anyway, and so I get this is a tough pill to swallow for people who've been activists and think they can change the world. But newsflash, there's been other people in the world in history that think that they can change the world as well too. And whenever I talk to anybody, it doesn't even matter who I talk to, a liberal or conservative or nationalist or whatever, I just feel this like dread, just like, oh, you think you're going to change the world? What's that going to amount to? An afternoon in the park where we talk to somebody in an office and we have some beers afterwards and then that's it. I'm just like, this is just pointless. It's just it's just an illusion that you have any say of what goes on in this Babylonian society. I've always had this inclination of just like breaking away from this collective insanity of people denigrating themselves and then me expecting and then people expecting me to fucking clean up all their goddamn mess. I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. It's just like no one fucking reciprocates any fucking value to me anymore. I always have to fucking solve everyone's fucking problems all the time and make them feel good about them insecure selves. Well, fuck you. I don't have to make you feel good about yourself, okay? You can live with your own fucking insecurities and fix it yourself. God damn it. Fuck. I want to be around high-value people where I can actually have ideas, bounce ideas off of, and actually improve my intellectual capabilities and build other skills as well too. I don't want to be looked at as some fucking peon of work. Like I'm replaceable, or or I have to fix somebody's problems. Like I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. It's just I've seen so much in my life, and honestly, it's just like you people that are just you are living in your fucking echo chambers and think that somebody can change the world if we just talk about this political party or that political party. It's honestly just futile. It's a waste of fucking energy. It's a waste of my energy. And then maybe I'm just because I'm a little bit higher IQ than the echo chamber. I don't see any point in fitting in these boxes anymore. I just don't see any point. And I just, through my own free will, I am just going to go this way. And I'm going to go, maybe it's not free will. I don't know, but we could debate about that. But just through epigenetics, I guess, or through my environment, I don't want to be associated with these toxic people. I don't want anything to do with activism of thinking we could change the world with a book or with this podcast. It's just mere insanity. All right.
Okay, so you're just LARPing, because then you wouldn't have anything to do with us, right? Well, the people
Yeah,
think
I don't want anything to do with you. No, that's my main goal, is to basically go off and actually do something productive, as opposed to this idle talk of these communities online.
What might that be?
Like, I don't like actually like building shit, and like actually like having a community where you don't like talk about mainstream events. Like you just have your own little reality that you live in, and not really be online that much, and not be exposed to all these toxic stories and people trying to get one up on each other.
So it sounds like you want to move to the country with no Wi-Fi.
It's not even that. It's like I just want to be around people who actually can reciprocate value, as opposed to just always trying to use me for a flawed agenda.
So what is your ideal lifestyle? Live in a log cabin?
No, it's not even that. It's just like you live in a community, like a commune or whatever. That's actually.
It sounds like you want to become, I don't know, join the Amish or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But like actually like believe in technology though, not. Yeah. Like I like the technology part of it, but the culture is just absolute trash. It's just, and I think it's going to be eventually everyone is going to turn to what we are today, and there's nothing we can really do about it.
Does this mean you no longer believe in God?
there is a higher power. I still believe in that, but I believe that just we live in a simulation, and I think we just need to realize that there are some aspects of life that we can't control, and there's some that we can control. That's a Christian ethic, actually. And this idea that we can influence politics or whatever is just delusional.
So, are you? When will you meet your girlfriend?
I'm not quite sure yet.
Is she in the same country as you?
No.
Okay, so you may.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just talking about ideas right now. I don't want to delve too much into my personal life, but yeah. So that's basically where I stand. So it's I realize that's a huge pill for people to swallow, but yeah, it's just
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, this is like, at least you're looking for something better, and yes, you have to kind of have some kind of community, but I think that, you know, I think that you'll just find that it will be easier to be, because okay, so she looked like a girl, the tranny.
yeah. She looked presentable like a girl, but she was a man, and I kind of got some hints, like just the way that her text was and how she kind of elaborated on some of her points. I was like, there's kind of like some masculine traits there, but
Yeah,
I
the
kind of
thing
look,
is
yeah,
that even they're women and they look like women, and to a degree, yes, they act like women, but they still are men. And so, the thing about gay men, like, yeah, okay, like, okay, everyone, straight men are famous, even straight men admit it. Like, it's famous that straight men even admit it, that gay men are better at blowjobs because we're men and we know what another man wants. Like, the point of one of the things with homosexuality is that there's less inhibition in that, like, or there's less miscoordination in what kind of sex you want. You're both men. You both know what a man wants. You both want to do what another man wants. And, there's not that kind of, like, male versus female desires and sex. And you're going to have it's just, and even when it comes to emotion and stuff like that, I mean, he is a man or she is a man. And so she knows what a man wants and she knows what a man prefers. And, like, she would, she's not, she wants to kind of, like, well, she is that, but she also wants to be that for you. I mean, the thing is that they want to be better than women, right? Have you noticed that?
yeah. I did notice that. Like, I even like follow some transgenders, and I'm just like, wow, like they are really smoking hot. Like they're really the perfume, the makeup, they act like women. You think they are women, right? And so I guess a lot of like straight men would be like, oh my god, am I gay? And I just kind of go like, well, I mean, I don't know, like I think like there is some sort of feminine feminine aspect that men, I guess, need in life to to not necessarily, like, I get it, like, you have to build yourself, you have to build value, you have to work out, or make money or whatever, right? Like, I understand that part, but you know th- I feel like trans women in general, like they actually offer value as opposed to straight women. Whereas straight women, they just have a uterus, and so they don't really need to be um loyal. They just have to, they can, I don't know, I it's complicated, but I think that trans women, like, they actually want to be women, whereas straight women, they want to be men in a weird way, in a subconscious way, I find.
Yeah, I mean, I think that more and more people are going to find out that these trans girls are a lot easier to deal with than actual women, and and just but of course, if Claire gets her way, they're gonna just fall into that and not reproduce and just die out, and then all the conservatives will take back over. But if they, rent wombs, if the thing is that, well, I have faith in that a lot of straight men are starting to go with trans, but they might still want children, right? I mean, usually the traditional gay man didn't want kids. Okay, like the traditional gay man, I think with gay men it's going to be a lot harder because they traditionally didn't want kids. Some of them do, but traditionally they don't want to really raise them. Whereas a straight man who has gone trans still wants to have kids. He wants a family.
Right. Right. They instinctively, like, they maybe, like, through, like, mentally and, like, maybe they biologically can't have children, but they instinctively still have the mother instincts in them to be mothers of children, I guess, in some way. So yeah, I don't know. It's not something that I can really empathize in some way, but I can appreciate that, you know, that there's actually women out there that are actually looking to attract a man as opposed. And another thing too is with these women, they always want to compete with each other. But with trans, it's almost like, the straight women like despise trans women, and so like trans women don't really have to one up each other all the time, I guess, like straight women do.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and a trans woman is more likely even to let you have another trans woman. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Mhm.
that they would be less jealous. I think that, like, polygamy, even between, well, it would work out. Let's say that, the best of our men were able to get like 5 trans wives, then the best of our men with those 5 trans wives' salaries could have like, tons and tons and tons of babies, whereas the guy who can't get as many trans wives wouldn't be able to have as many kids,
Mhm.
and so it kind of is like, competition if they're going to be a little bit more polygamous, which, I hope they can be. And I mean, like, I don't, like, I do equate like really fucked up. Like, I think like fucked up sexuality, like, I think it helps that. I think it would, okay, so it would help, like, let's say there's just some Chad that we want breeding a lot, and, he's able to get trans wives. But let's say that if he pimps them out, he can have like 10 of them, because so he can't service all 10 of them every day, and they're not all going to get sex, and they're going to get bitchy, and they're going to want a man. But just like, let other men sleep with them, and then you can just have control over them, and have their salaries and all this other kind of stuff. So this is like a lot of liberal sexual values, and like kind of like using sex to stabilize society.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you you so you mentioned too that you like straight women hate you. Why do you think straight women hate you, Vincent, as a gay man?
Because oh, all straight women, look, the thing is that it's like competition, and that even in societies where older men were allowed to have sex with teenage boys, their wives would still get jealous and upset. And I actually say that women are probably the root of homosexuality, because what probably was happening, most men would be willing to have sex with each other, but their wives wouldn't like it and would get upset with them. And so in order to be able to keep their wives, relationship, and to be able to have children, they would hide it. But I'm saying, of course, if it was all men, there, I actually think that it's women who are the cause of real homophobia. And I think the less rights women have in a society, the more homosexuality there would be. And I, even in when it's supposedly not supposed to be there, we know that the Islamic societies that are most brutally oppressive of women practice pedestry the most. Like, those are like Afghani areas and stuff like that. Um, um, so I think it's actually the women, when they have any kind of right, to complain about that, and complain about sex between men, even if it's not men and boys, even if it's just men and men. I think that, and it's like, yeah, it's competition, and like, it's like one that doesn't bat on your side. You know what I mean? I do get jealous when I see handsome, particularly handsome men with women. I get jealous. I'm like, oh, you're on her side, and oh, you like that, and like, you know what I mean? Like, because, yeah, well, I'm completely gay, so do I get turned off if a man is attached has had sex with a woman? Yes. Like, just the idea that he's touched her like that, and that he's been inside of her, and that he enjoyed it, and that he, like, it's bisexuality. I'll date a bi guy. I would date a bi guy, but I prefer gay. I prefer they be gay.
Mm.
I prefer that they be gay. I prefer gay men, and but I realize I'm willing to promote anything that's LGBTQ eugenics, even if it's trans, even if it's lesbian. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because it is, at the end of the day, it is like, the thing is that I don't believe in universal values. Okay, I'm never going to believe that there's some God out there that has a set of rules that are the set of rules and universal values, and they're the only ones that work. So if I don't believe that, I believe any value on earth that as ever has been brought forth is a subjective value. So people who make the value no murder only because they don't want to murder. Why? Because they have empathy, and they can understand that, well, if you murdered our father, the children can't eat, and then I feel bad for the children, and I don't want to be murdered, and so I have sympathy for other people that don't want to be murdered, and let me extend to other people what I want. And the thing is, you just need to be the type of person that thinks like that. And if everyone is genetically programmed to think like that and socially programmed to think like that, then you're going to have a society where murder is outlawed. And I'm saying that, like, if you raise the intelligence and empathy to a degree, some people you don't want to have empathy, and that's when you want selective breeding for different kinds. But generally, if you create a more empathic class, then there's going to be more laws against make that allow people to suffer, and there's going to be less actions in society that make people suffer. So it's moral elevation through physical refinement. It's if you physically refine people, then the rest will follow. You know what I mean? And like, people are like, why be nice if you don't believe in God? Well, the only type of person that would think about that is someone who's not nice and is only being nice because they're scared of God. That's the only type of person. Like, some people are just naturally nice. You don't need to teach them to be nice. They're born nice. They want to share. You know what I mean? Or they easily are susceptible to that type of thinking, and they don't need to be deeply trained, ingrained, and put fear in them in order to act like that. And if those are the type of the people that you breed, and those are the values that you cultivate, and you say, well, follow your natural instincts, then you'll have a much better world. Make the world where people's natural instincts create goodness, rather than having people who aren't naturally good and having to force morality on them, and morality that's like created from their warped, twisted minds, and it's just messed up and fucked up.
I noticed too that a lot of society, especially mainstream society, is sexually repressed. Like, they can't talk about any type of sexuality publicly, and they almost get like pulsed by it. I was thinking when you were explaining, like, like that women like to be effed in the ass, like, that's when Stephen got disgusted by that, and I thought, is this like, why can't we have like these conversations and have them healthy and mature conversation, as opposed to being a bunch of fifth graders or people stuck in middle school again. I just feel like it's not really, kind of a bastardized society.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like, why can't people talk about sex? It's such a problem. And why even, he can't tolerate the conversation. And so he has to, like, even believe that women don't like that. And a lot of women do. And I'm not saying they all do, but enough of them do that it's a trend. And there's plenty of straight men that like it, and then if you, the ones that are really pure, say if you're a straight man that likes to fuck a girl in the ass, you're really gay. And which I don't believe. I mean, I don't believe that, at all. I mean, you can, I don't know. Well, that's so disgusting. I don't want to bring that up. But
Mhm.
you know, I was thinking of something. But the point is that if you wanna, I don't believe that if you wanna fuck, even. I mean, even some people, how some people take it so far where they say sodomy even includes blowjobs. Like these hyper
Mhm.
purists and that even you ever meet the people that say like if you're a man, if you want too much sex, you're gay. Like if you're too into women, you're gay. Like that's also have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of that before. It's like, dude, you just focus on yourself, stop chasing women or whatever, or stop chasing the Putin. I don't know.
Well, there is a connection between okay, some gay men are trying to prove to the world they're not gay, and so they like pretend that they're like so into pussy. Like that is common. Like that does happen.
Mhm.
Like some gay men are just like trying to overcompensate, and they want everyone to think they're so straight and they're so into pussy, 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 and they're watching gay porn like all the time. So there is something to that, but you know, yeah, and but also, Ann Coulter accused Bill Clinton of being gay because he likes so much sex with women. She was like, "Oh, it's very like, of the bathhouses. Like, well, if you're having sex with that many women, you're probably having sex with men too. So, having licentious desires for women are considered gay. And Nick Fuentes thinks having sex with women is gay.
Yeah, he says that a lot, actually. Yeah.
He said, yeah, having sex with women is gay, and he promotes inceldom. Promotion of celibacy is gay. All these MGTOW guys are gay. That's another very common trope where young gay men will try to hide their homosexuality by saying they're celibates. You know, when I was young, my father told me he would be upset if I told him I wanted to be a priest because that meant I was gay, and that's true. Like all these priests are gay, like every gay man. It was a way out, especially in the Catholic world. It was a way out, and it was a celibate lifestyle, and you would, at the same time, you'd be around all men. But I did that when I was like 15, 16. I used to tell people that, oh no, younger. I used to tell people that I was going to be celibate and that I was never going to have sex with women because I was religious, or I don't, I just said I was never going to, have sex with
I
women. Instead of saying I was gay, I hid behind celibacy.
I always found that I always had like positive interactions with gay men, uh, and like they always they always had something of value to offer, as opposed to feeling like you're getting exploited sometimes, I guess. Which I guess I really appreciated.
Well,
Um,
I think, yeah, gay people are a little bit usually more nice, more genuine. I mean, there's the saying stupid FAGGOT. What that means is like, you're the stupid nice gay man that like doesn't, one of the things I was reading, like, they were saying like one of the reasons heterosexuals is like they're more they're more successful because gay people, and it's true, are less guileful. They're okay, gay men can be exceedingly good liars in a certain area, but they're a little bit less good at hiding who they truly are, their true feelings, their true intentions. They're a little bit less guileful, a little bit less fake, and it works against us. It works against us. Too honest. I know that there's dishonest gay people that are really good at business because they're psychopathic and lie, but there's a genuineness there that tends to be amongst gay people, and an honesty there that does make us stupid, and we have to learn, and I've learned that yes, heterosexuals, one thing I noticed about heterosexuals is that they usually pretend to be less intelligent than they really are, because they want to hide their culpability, and they want to be able to pretend they can't understand, and or that they seem to not think very deeply about things, but um, they actually do. They just hide it, and they don't want to deal with the fact that they know something, and that they can think about something, and um, they don't want to have like these moral dilemmas um, in their minds or deal with the situation. They just want to pretend that they're not deep enough or smart enough to get involved or to show any depth of feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, everyone accuses gay men and trannies and everyone of being so emotional. Like, it's just, we're more honest, and like, if straight people, well, okay, I do think straight people are less deep and are less intelligent, so they are going to get less emotional because they feel it and think it less. But at the same time, I also think that heterosexual people purposely hide their emotions more than LGBTQs do, because they're being deceptive, and it is smarter to do that. It won't be smarter when we're all there is, and then we can be like that, and everything will be fine. But it is smarter if you're looking to take advantage of a situation. It is smarter to do it the heterosexual way, and like, be really in control of your emotions, and don't let people know how deeply you're thinking. Don't let people know how smart you are, because they can use that against you, or they can be leery of you, or avoid you, or hide information from you, and hide your culpability with your lack of intelligence, supposedly. It's there's lots there's a lot that goes into it, and there's lots of psychology that needs to be discussed. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh,
I think I don't want to go on too much of a diatribe, but yeah, I appreciate your insights, Vincent. Yeah, and that's just and getting to share my thoughts on heterosexual activism. I think it's just futile at this point. It's just I
yeah.
don't. It's a whole bunch of denial. Like, I know they accuse me of being cope, but like, I don't know. I think like I do have some homosexual, I guess, genes in me, I guess, and so that's part of what I found her attractive, was her reasoning and stuff like that. So I just think, um, and I appreciate your literature. Your literature. I gotta get back to reading some of the books you sent me, but yeah. So I don't know. I should probably get going though. But yeah, I appreciate your time here. Yeah, that's just basically. I hope I didn't. I realized I probably dropped some big bombshells again, but yeah,
That's okay.
activism is just a waste of time.
That's okay.
I'm happy to have you here, John.
All right. Okay. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye. Well,
So there you go, Claire. I have a convert. Are you happy for me?
let's see how long he stays converted. You know he's a bit of a well, he dips his he dip. You know he's been around in the sense of converting to things early and then giving them up. So,
Yeah. Well, I
so
gave
we'll see
up.
how long he stays with your thing.
Okay. Well, at least I have. There's more of me than there are secular Quran. Okay, you have one Narish and I have one. So, we each have a convert.
Convert. And we're still together.
Yes, we each have a convert, and so I'm glad. And Stephen J. James is, and that's another conservative straight white man thing, like not dealing. Oh, I not it, not dealing. I know that was like it, not dealing with it, not okay.
He said
Like,
he didn't know what to say.
Not studying the enemy's literature. They don't study the enemy's literature. Even like the thing is that I don't like talking to Khalid. Okay, it annoys me to talk to Khalid. But the thing is, I talk to Khalid because he gives me inside information about the other side that I can then use against them. It's very annoying to deal with these horrible, stupid arguments, but at least I can then file them, categorize them, and write about them like I did today. I wrote, this is why I don't like Khalid's arguments and what's so wrong with them and all this other kind of stuff. And it helps, whereas these people, they just don't even want to listen to what the other side is saying because, they don't even want to build up an arsenal. I mean, fine, he doesn't like what he's hearing, but at least build up your arsenal. And, I would want to listen with all the much more intensity. Okay, I would, I don't like secular Quranism, but I would listen with all the much more intensity if you had found a convert. You know what I mean? When I was interested, when you brought that Hindu Naresh on or whatever, if you found a convert, I would want to listen even more and be like, oh my God, she's, she's getting attrition here. And, and that's also part of my non-straight white male, my gay man neuroticism in that I care about a single convert. I care about a single person spreading a negative message that I don't like. And I'm not going to just, I am going to write about it and go after it and try to stop it. I'm not going to just ignore it like some straight man and purposely not learn about it. And when I see it propping up all over the place, just turn a blind eye to it and turn off the YouTube, whenever it comes on. I'm not going to do that. I mean, the fact that, okay, there's secular Quranism, but am I more concerned now that secular Quranism has a single convert? Yes, I am. I'm not going to I don't think secular Quranism is going to work, but I don't think it's going to work, but
Well,
I mean,
if
you
secular Quranism in high places, so in a way, one convert here or there doesn't matter that much. I mean, the big one is the high status convert, and that works. That goes for everyone really. We want some high status person saying, secular Quranism, it's the bee's knees and what we must have.
the bee's knees.
I'll look at what it really, the origins of the expression.
But it's just.
Yeah, but the others are just so, ooh, we don't like it. We're just going to pretend we didn't hear it. And we're going to tell everybody not to talk about it. And that's it. Oh, it's also a cocktail. The bee's knees.
They're just horrible and they need to be put in their place. And
they're just so stupid. And it's like they're getting stupider and they don't care.
Nope, they're dumb.
Yeah.
They're dumb and need to be put away. And they're just like, oh God. And, I think there's more hope in John Vance. And, fine, if I can't get them to become gay, let them go with the trannies and, I'll work with that. I'll work with whatever.
And the marriage substitutes. But marriage substitutes are dysgenic and you don't understand.
No, if John Vance has a tranny girlfriend but gets the best woman he can, to procreate with, then it's eugenic. If he selected her,
I think he's just LARPing, he's just. I think he likes attention and he likes saying, oh, I'm a secular Quranist. Oh, that's not good enough. I'm going to be a Muslim. Oh, that's not good enough. I'm going to have a tranny girlfriend. We'll see what he does next.
Well, for now I have a convert. Let's see. Maybe people jump around. My mother jumped around to 50 different religions before she found the Jehovah's Witnesses. Just because you jump around a lot doesn't mean that.
Tell us the religions she jumped around in and why she said she didn't like them. Like
they were all they were all Christian. I mean, I can't say that. I don't know what else she studied, but the churches that she brought me to were all Christian. I mean, we went to Lutheran and Methodist and Baptist and Charismatic and Evangelical and Pentecostal, and she went to all these different kinds of churches with all these different kinds of teachings, and she didn't like any of them. And I mean, and then I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess people would have just called her a religion junkie and flaky and like unable to make up her mind, but she was religion shopping, and she eventually found the religion that worked for her.
And did you say why? Did you ever discuss it? Like, well, why not charismatic and why not, what
I don't know.
Seventh Day?
No, she never really discussed it exactly why. She just told me that.
You should write it. You should write a book about your. Well, you should write your autobiography.
Well, I have to become famous first.
Well, just write it in case you become famous. Because I think a lot of stuff would become clear. And I think the American government is doing Americans a disservice by not having an official religion. So you get all these, Americans looking for spirituality, shopping around for religion and maybe getting sucked into cults that might get them killed, like Jim Jones in Waco and was it Waco? Anyway, Guatemala. Yeah, I mean, it's like just give these people a religion so they can feel like they're part of the big thing. But then it's it's part of your constitution, your separation of church and state, and secular Quranism would just work for everyone. I know. But you're kind of you still want to shop around before you buy. And I bet John still has me blocked. He still
Yeah,
has me blocked.
I don't know why these people are so dramatic and feel the need to block you. The only time that I really block anyone is if I mean, no, I mean, I don't know what they like. I never block people. Like, it's just it's not something I do, and I don't feel like why I need to block people.
Tell me what you think of Snorkel Blog. Did you listen to all of it?
No, I listen to part, like, I don't know. Snorkel Blog is gay?
No. He's actually got a Japanese wife, but he's a white nationalist who blames Jews for everything. And so
Oh,
Jews
I
have
did.
caused the famine.
Were you the one when it was with Stephen J. James and he's British?
No, he's American Canadian.
Oh no!
Well, anyway, he was on Karani Yule, and I think it's one of the better ones. It's got 82 views. I mean, more views than Anti No Wiki.
Well,
Had you heard of Anti No Wiki?
no,
It
I
seems not that
haven't.
many people have heard of him. Anyway, yeah, because I think well, Snorkel Blog is I guess some people might describe him as quite attractive and intense and you know well I just wondered, you obviously haven't seen it, but I kind of would like you to, because I thought it was interesting and you might enjoy it because he's a good looking guy. Oh yeah, he was complaining that I said you liked it. No, what did I? No, he said he did occasionally listen to us.
And he didn't like then he took it back.
No, I think okay. So I told you that he liked that he listened to us, and
Yes,
then I. And that was what I thought he said, and I said, well, he liked listening to us, and he sort of thought I said he had that he liked you, and he was kind of wanting to sort of not say, want to take it back, but I was saying, well, I didn't, I didn't suggest that he had any gay feelings towards you. As far as I understood it, he liked our discussions, and that was all I meant to say. But he doesn't like me apparently defending the Jews, because obviously I think his position is too extreme. To say that Joseph caused the famine was, I thought, well, going out on a limb. But I think he's the biggest anti-Semite I know. And they sort of, they kind of compare themselves to each other. Like, well, I'm an anti-Semite, but not such a big anti-Semite as to, think this or do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Oh yeah.
You have to go?
No, I don't. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Anti-Semitism. They try with all their anti-Semite stuff.
Yeah, and I kept explaining to him, look, it's not going to work. You saying that Joseph caused the famine, and even if you refer to the Old Testament, it's like, in your particular interpretation, and, oh yes, and that he's the first communist. And I thought, well, Marx wasn't even born, but what Joseph did, which is kind of requisition everybody else's grain and store it or something. Was a kind of communism. Oh, I don't know. The thing is, it sort of, makes sense vaguely if you struggle to see it a bit. And then it was like, well, why don't you agree? Because it's obvious that, it's as I say. But I said, well, Jews don't agree, and it's their scripture,
Well, I told the Jewess about Joseph, crashing the economy by keeping all the money in the bank and not releasing it. And she didn't deny. She just, very in a snooty way, she said, well, obviously you've been studying this for years. You know what I mean? She wasn't like, that's not what happened. She was just kind of got nasty with me for being overly educated.
Oh. I mean, I guess what you want to do is well, the no-hide laws are going to get us into trouble, and I want to dissociate myself from that.
Oh, Elizabeth Glass.
But yes, her. That's what she's trying to do, isn't she?
Yeah, she's trying.
Things could get bad for us Jews here, and the no-hide laws, they're going to freak out. So we better dissociate ourselves from that. But I mean, she could get her, all the Reform Jews, the rabbis, are saying, oh, we don't agree with the no-hide laws, and we're Jews. It's that lot over there who who you should watch out for. But we're good Jews, and we're not going to behead you, and we reject the no-hide laws. I guess she's doing that. You think?
Yeah, she's trying to make it seem like, she's just trying. Well, she's gonna fail. I'm sorry. She's a nice lady and stuff like that, and but she's a very rare type of Jew that, who is even smart enough to see that this could cause a problem. And she's not going to do what Edward Martin. She's actually smart. Maybe she is. Maybe she's so undercover. Maybe she's such a Noahidist Jew undercover that she's willing, she's so smart, she's willing to go undercover to make it look like, the Jews aren't, she's not doing what Edward Martin does and just, well, I never heard of these Noahide laws, so they're nothing. That's not the smartest approach. I mean, maybe she's, the Jewish mastermind saying, let me pretend I'm against the Noahide laws so people get confused. I don't know.
But she's not being very principled.
What do you mean she's not being very principled?
Well, if you're a principled Jew, it's like, well, it's our contribution to humanity. We're telling these Gentiles how to be.
Oh, just because you're born, Claire, you think just because someone's Jewish and who doesn't keep the Jewish faith, they're an unprincipled person? That
yes.
They chose. No, why they didn't choose to be born Jewish. They chose other principles to keep. Just because you didn't,
She's a Reformed Jew, so I assume she has some principles.
yeah, but they might not be what she was raised on. She might have come up with new principles of her own.
But that's not the principles of her religious group.
Yeah, I know, but she doesn't need to. So what? I don't follow the principles of Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, I mean, like, just because I was raised that, or I don't follow, just because you're born a Muslim or just because you're born a Jew, doesn't mean that you have to follow those principles or that. And it doesn't mean just because you have different principles doesn't mean that you don't not have principles. Are you going to say if she was a Jew and converted to like anything else other than Islam, she just has no principles?
No, but okay, as far as you're concerned, you're quite honest. So you're not forever you do contradict yourself, but it's probably because you have unresolved issues. You're not a liar in my view. So and obviously you have some fixed ideas that you refuse to correct, but on the whole, I think you're honest. So it's possible to have a conversation, a reasoned conversation with you. But there's some people who, people like Jay, you just can't talk to him at all because it's always yes or no. I mean, I don't know if you have ever had a long conversation with him, but I
No,
think
I mean I had a little bit, but I know it's all going to be Christian nonsense, and then it all comes down to they all play the same game. Oh, it's all logic and rationalism, and then when you prove that it's not logical and rational, well, you need faith to see these things, and you just don't have faith, and they start out with these lies like, oh yes, it's all rational and scientific, and then it always ends and you have no faith, and you're and God has blocked you off and all this nonsense.
repent.
Mhm.
No, so it's actually easier to talk to a Jew or a Muslim because they at least know what they're supposed to believe. So you can talk to them, and then you can say, aha, your religion says this, but you're saying the other thing, and they have to kind of admit it. But with Christians, there's no way you can get them because their religion doesn't say anything. And that's why they're so evil, really. And then they rely on, well, if we pretend to believe in Jesus, we'll go to heaven. And then you say, oh, but it's idolatry and blasphemy, and it's but we don't care. But why would God forbid idolatry and blasphemy if he and you already accept the Ten Commandments, and it's like, oh, we don't care. So you can't really talk to them. It's like nailing jelly to a wall. But it's good to know that Jehovah's Witnesses are more honest and more principled and know their Bible better. And obviously it did some good to you, wouldn't you say? You have benefited from all the Bible study classes, and it seems like you kind of enjoyed them.
Well, I mean, it would have been a lot better, no. I mean, there's a lot better lifestyle I could have been set up on, and if I wasn't raised that, I probably wouldn't even care about this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'd be out having a jolly old time.
Well, like the degenerates you're complaining about.
Yeah, well, maybe then I would be
Well, because
happy.
these principles stay with you forever, even if you reject them. In your mind there are these rules, and you somehow know it's supposed to form your worldview and regulate your behaviour. And I think it makes you think logically. And that's why Christians are so stupid, because they have no principles.
Hold on one second. Claire, I think I'm gonna go now. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye.